Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto learned the truth about the Uzumaki clan and revived it. Naruto times Karen Uzumaki times Mai Terumi times Hinata Hyuga times Ino Yamanaka times Tamari times Anko Midarashi, Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Couple of days later. When Naruto walked into the room he had rented in this gambling town, he found himself standing face to face with blood-red eyes. Sharingan. Those eyes. Those damned eyes. Naruto really didn't like them. He wouldn't go as far as to say he felt nothing but contempt for them. It would be extreme. He knew this person. This was the elder brother of Sasuke. He should be afraid. He should be worried about the motives of this person. But Naruto was not. He was only curious but he didn't show it on his face. His heart was beating a little fast but he wasn't concerned. He needed to silence it. It was a dead giveaway. He walked past the man and settled by the window. Jiraiya was already in town. It was only a moment of time before the Sannin found him. Maybe he was already on his way. Itachi watched Naruto carefully. He should be surprised by the blonde's reaction to his presence, but he wasn't. He didn't even raise an eyebrow. He just watched the blonde walk past him. If Itachi wasn't seeing the blonde, he wouldn't say he was there. He had managed to completely erase his presence. It was remarkable. The tool's a trained silent killer. He didn't have much time with the blonde. Jiraiya was probably charging to this place he stood. I want to speak to you, Naruto-kun. Naruto didn't turn to the Uchiha, he merely responded in a cold tone. You have my ears. But not his eyes. Though, I find it interesting that a known S-rank criminal would be interested in just a mere genin. I think we both know you are more than that, Itachi responded calmly. I once served as an Anbu in Konoha and the Sandaime trusted me very much. Naruto glanced at the Uchiha through the corner of his eyes. I know, I did see you once or twice. He did speak very highly of you, even after the massacre. Then again, he was still fond of Orochimaru despite everything. The blonde paused. Like I said, you have my ears but I may not respond. If I want to get answers from you, I'd be forceful, Itachi said calmly. It is about Sasuke-kun. Naruto said nothing. I know you were friends with him. I know things happened and he ended up joining the ranks of Orochimaru. He is training now. Trying to gain power. You once tried to get him to return to Konoha. Would you try again? Naruto faced the Uchiha with a look of indifference. Why? That baffled Itachi, but he didn't let it show. You no longer consider him a friend it seems. There was still no emotion in Itachi's tone. Naruto looked away from Itachi without saying a word. After a couple of moments he responded. I can't really figure out why you are asking. I don't even know why you left him alive. I was thinking perhaps you just couldn't kill your younger brother. He shook his head. Sasuke decided that joining Orochimaru was the best possible cause for him. He wanted his revenge. Whether Orochimaru allows him to get it or not is his problem. I would be happy if he somehow kills Orochimaru, but I won't thank him. Orochimaru once tried to take my body. If he is going to use the same technique as he did with me, he will fail, Itachi said. I merely wanted to confirm if you were still willing to save my brother. At this point, even if he does get his revenge, he is likely to dive deep further into darkness. A man who massacred his entire clan shouldn't care, now should he? Naruto said. You shouldn't stay of course, Itachi. It makes you look concerned, and that isn't the Itachi the world knows. Itachi narrowed his eyes. Those words were dangerous. Naruto has grown. He did observe the blonde a bit. He had been close to Sasuke, after all. The way they parted wasn't great, but still, he didn't expect the blonde to be so cold. What do you want from me, Itachi? I don't think you have come here for Sasuke. I have been around people, and when they want something, you sense it. This wasn't even the kind of crowd he hanged around with. Having such people with curious glances was even dangerous for him. Never did he even think that he would end up getting a visit from this infamous man. Konoha once worshipped him but now he was just another Orochimaru. Pitiful. But Naruto didn't care much. He wasn't even fond of the Uchiha. For some reason, the Biju inside of him seemed to appreciate his dislike for those damned corrupted eyes that had the power to bend your will. I wanted to confirm something. Did you? If Naruto was curious, he didn't show it. There was still an air of indifference around him as he responded. Itachi did not respond to the question. He asked a question of his. As far as I am concerned, you are the only other Uzumaki who has no connections to the revived Uzu. Have they not approached you? I would find it curious if they have not. Naruto glanced at the Uchiha for a moment. This was an interrogation. A soft one. Those eyes were watching every inch of his body, waiting for any sign of deception. Have you been searching for the Uzumaki, Itachi? You're not answering my question. I'm not obligated to answer when you ignore mine, Naruto said with a shrug. I have been to Uzu, and I have traveled around a lot. I haven't come across any Uzumaki. The world is big, Itachi. The survivors of the Uzumaki clan scattered across the elemental nations after the destruction, Naruto said. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? What? In asking that, Itachi realized, Naruto hadn't answered his question and he was steering him away from it. His eyes narrowed dangerously. This was no normal teenager. He was at least able to confirm that. But Uzu would not show him anything. Maybe someone would slip in something to him, but it was unlikely. Uzu and Konoha were like brother and sister, and yet, none of the survivors ever took refuge in the hidden leaf. Naruto paused for effect. That is a puzzle, isn't it? It is, Itachi said. I will also reveal a little secret, since you don't want to cooperate with me. I am indeed a criminal and massacred my clan, but I still kept contact with the Sandaime Hokage. You see, when it came to you, he did not trust any of the Anbu. He contacted me. I was there when you two visited Uzu. Naruto turned to face the Uchiha. The mask on his face didn't slip, but he did have a raised eyebrow. Well, that is interesting. Well, at least no one in Konoha knows about it. He turned his eyes outside once more. What else do you know? Admittedly, nothing. This is why I came here. You were interested in Uzu back then, but now there is nothing. Why? Itachi asked. My time is up, but we shall talk again, hopefully. The Uchiha disappeared from the room after those words left his lips. A few moments later, Jiraiya burst into the room, looking worried. Naruto turned around to face the Sannin. I'm not paying for that damage, he said. Naruto was fine, but there was no sign of the Uchiha. Jiraiya frowned. He was late, but at least there was nothing wrong. Then again, he didn't exactly think that Naruto would have been harmed. What would Itachi have against his student? The Uchiha was a member of the mercenary group, Akatsuki, but they wouldn't be after Naruto, would they? Glancing at the door on the floor, Jiraiya sighed. I didn't book the room, I can't pay. I was never even here. Naruto sent the Sannin a look. You will regret many things, sensei. That said, he looked back at the window. What took you so long? I gotta held back someone, Jiraiya said with a grin. A young beautiful lady, and you just couldn't resist until you realized she was being manipulated, Naruto said with a shake of his head. You can be remarkable sometimes, sensei. You are only saying that because you didn't see her, Naruto, Jiraiya said. He was firm, anyone would have been distracted. But sometimes Naruto did act like he didn't recognize beauty when he saw it. Now that Jiraiya thought about, he never saw the blonde with a lady, even though he visited bars. He always came back alone. He was truly missing the joys of life, and this was his student. I'm sure I wouldn't have behaved in the same way as you, Naruto said with a shrug. When are you going to follow me? It would be nice to show you off. I did it once, never again, Naruto said with a slight shake of his head. How was your work? Jiraiya looked thoughtful for a moment. There was no harm done with Itachi, so they would discuss this issue some other time. He would not forget. For now, he was happy. He didn't want to ruin the moment even. Fruitful, the Sannin said calmly. I heard you got close to a certain blonde head. A grin plastered his face. Naruto faced Jiraiya for a moment. That look. The smile. It suggested something, but Naruto wasn't going to think too deeply about it. Tamari is a delightful woman. But that was that. Jiraiya shook his head. I don't have to teach you how to get close since you already know the trade, but if you keep watching the birds, they will fly off. You must make a move, he said seriously. You are still too young to talk about marriage, but you need to have fun, Naruto. You mean your kind of fun, Naruto said. I am not exactly a boring person in case you forgot. You know, I just am more controlled than you. Certainly, the blonde knew how to act. He could sit at a bar and laugh with a couple of ladies while drinking, but he would end it there. Jiraiya could confidently say the blonde knew the body of a woman, and yet, he never seemed eager. The toad sage sighed and settled on the bed. Tsunade was as asking about you. I'm sure she was. As she does in her letters, you have a tendency to leave them open so that I can comment. And you don't. You pretend as if you didn't see anything. I don't pretend anything. I just keep my thoughts to myself. Besides, if you didn't ask for my opinion, I can't give it, Naruto said. How long do we have? She didn't stipulate, and I'm honestly fine with the way things are. I failed to do so many things in your younger days. I'm watching you grow. We are close. I am happy with that. But things had to come to an end. Nothing was forever in this world. He knew that. He had experienced it too many times. This end would be on his terms and he would be content with it. There was nothing that could take away the memories has shared with Naruto. There was nothing. The memories were his and he would make some more. But we are still wanted in Konoha, Naruto said. There was no emotion in his tone. And he wasn't looking at the Sannin. Jiraiya couldn't tell if the blonde was displeased. Yes, Jiraiya said with a small nod. We have to cover your Kaden training, and the Kyuubi's chakra. And we have to do missions for you to earn yourself more experience in battle. If the toads are willing, you will learn Senjutsu. Well, that is quite the schedule, Naruto said. We can do fire and Kyuubi's chakra simultaneously. It isn't my favorite meal to do 2 training exercises at once, but since we don't know when we will end our time together, we don't have a choice, Naruto said. Jiraiya could work with that. Are we going to talk about your skills in Fuinjutsu? His tone was serious. I don't usually push you for answers, but it is important if we are going to learn controlling the Kyuubi's power. Naruto glanced at Jiraiya at the corner of his eyes before looking at the streets. This town was lively. This wasn't his first time here. He'd come here looking for the old hag. What of my Fuinjutsu skills, sensei? I put it wrongly. Jiraiya then corrected himself. What is your knowledge regarding Fuinjutsu? You might not be able to apply the art in practical use, but sensei gave you many books about the art to read. He even had me hand over scrolls one have obtained from Minato. He would not tell me what it was for, but I suspected it was for you. He did give me things to read. Naruto said quietly. The third had me consume as much knowledge about Fuinjutsu as I could filter through my head. He said it was fine even if I didn't understand. I just had to consume the knowledge. He said it had to be on my head. When I was alone, sitting like this, I could search my memories and try studying the structures of seals. Since it was difficult, it would be enough to preoccupy my time. He had 2 reasons for this. He said it was my legacy. It was the legacy of the Uzumaki. The second was that he wanted me to think about something useful. He didn't want me filling my head with thoughts of my loneliness. Because I could concentrate, it was easy just thinking of diagrams I couldn't describe. At the same time, it was frustrating. But I also needed something to think about, so I filled my mind with those diagrams, arrays, drawings. Jiraiya was silent for a long minute as he absorbed those words. He knew of Naruto's habit. He knew the blonde could sit by the window for hours without moving. Why haven't you attempted learning it? Just because your mother was good at it doesn't mean you'll naturally be good at it, Naruto responded calmly. Those were the words the old man used to tell me. Jiraiya sighed. Do you know the secret of the necklace Tsunade gave you? It is a sealing technique. I know, but it can easily be crushed because it works best with Mokuden. It is the Shodai's jewel after all, Naruto said. What of it? Jiraiya shook his head. That is just another measure we have in case you lose control. But I don't know what it takes for it to activate. It didn't activate on 4 tails. There were still 5 my tails missing, Naruto said in a flat tone. We will work something out. Those tags you created are still useful. Yes, Jiraiya said with a nod. But he was looking for something a bit more permanent. Those seals required one to get close and Naruto couldn't apply them himself. There had to be something that could be activated automatically or through a hand sign. He would think of drawing up something. But at this stage, his mind could only think of a chakra suppression seal. How was the situation in Sunagakur? Ah, he did have a side mission. And now he had to give a briefing. Gaara is going to be made Kazekage. I don't know when they will do the coronation. But you can rest assured, he is a good person who won't think of doing what his father did. I think by now they already know their village is weak. I didn't actually think that they would make him Kage, Jiraiya said with a shake of his head. He is still just a brat. And Suna is a mess. Last time I checked, the Wind Daimyo was no longer even funding it. Their failed invasion hasn't even earned them new allies. That may be true, but Gaara is willing and has a lot to prove, Naruto said. You thought they'd put Baki? Jiraiya nodded. He was the Kazekage's right-hand man. Whatever he did, that man was in it too. The man explained. He then stood up. Let's go out. The day is still in its diapers, we need to let loose of some steam before going for our training. We can stay here for a couple of days before departing. Once we go to it, we'll spend at least 2 months away from people. Best we stock up for those days. Naruto shook his head. You didn't stock up on fun like it was a nutrient that could be stored in your body, but this was his sensei. His perverted sensei. Their time was running out. Perhaps he should indulge the man. He got out of the window and then stared at the Sannin. If you misbehave, I will walk away. Jiraiya grinned. I will be on my best behavior. He said. In your best behavior, you drool from your nose while peeking through a hole on some women, Naruto responded flatly. That's called research. Jiraiya said. You should try reading my books. You have all the copies, even ones I have yet to release. I have written one. I don't need to read them, Naruto said with a shrug. You do know Ika is for perverts, right? Jiraiya shrugged, and they then started to leave. He picked up the door he had broken and created a clone to take Naruto's things. They'd have to look for a new place to stay. How sad was the old hag? Very, Jiraiya said after shrugging off his surprise at the question. You do need to write to her. Why haven't you? Jiraiya, aren't I reactive to the matters of the heart? Naruto asked. That was a false impression, but who cared? She hasn't written to me either. Tell her to write something and I will respond. Isn't she the parent in this situation? You know, you can be frustratingly simple at times. Jiraiya said with a shake of his head. She'll probably hit you. Ooh, we can't have that, Naruto said with his eyes closed. Where are you taking me? We are just going to drink. I haven't seen you get drunk. I need to see who will first get drunk between me and you. That isn't a fair competition, sensei. You are a professional and I am just student, Naruto said with a shake of his head. And I only started drinking like last year. If you can't handle it, just say so, but I will consider it my win. Naruto eyed the Sannin for a long minute before speaking. Let us make a wager then. I'm not making a wager with you, Jiraiya said. Last time I ended up walking into a hot spring while, a women's bathing place. You were confident you could win. If I had lost, I would have been the one doing it. Jiraiya glared at Naruto. I doubt it, you have a smooth tongue when you want to use it. You could have ended up convincing them that you truly thought it was a men's place. You overstate my abilities, sensei, Naruto said with a shake of his head. Your student cannot talk a woman who has had 6 bottles to share a bed with him. Jiraiya thought about it before bursting with laughter. He walked closer to the blonde and put his right hand over the blonde's shoulder. Now that is an exaggeration, he said in a whisper. I know you can do better. Naruto glanced at the firm hand on his shoulder before looking at the road ahead. We shall see. Iwagakure. What took you so long? Onoki asked with annoyance as Kuretsuchi walked into his office. I called for you an hour ago. No, Kuretsuchi said with a shake of her head. It was 10 minutes ago. You are losing your sense of time, old man. Can't you even see? Should I get a bigger clock for you? Are you even hearing me? Onoki frowned. If you keep talking like that, I'm not going to retire. Kuretsuchi shrugged. It doesn't matter. You are going to kick the bucket very soon anyway. Onoki thought of sending the black hair to glare, but he held himself. He tossed aside the mocking of his age and stared at the scroll before him. I have a mission for you. Kuretsuchi smiled at hearing this. She has been holed up in the village. It was nice to be able to go out and do a mission. There hasn't even been anything worthy of her skills. If her grandfather was sending her, then it must be something challenging. What do you want me to do? I want you to go to a town in the Fire Nation. Book a room and a certain man will approach and give you a scroll containing information. Don't lose it. Return immediately upon receiving it. Kuretsuchi frowned. There are messengers for that kind of mission. There is a danger that this person is being followed. If I send someone else, they might not return. Onoki said in a firm tone. The information is also very important. It affects our security. When you leave, please stop by Han and tell him I wish to see him. There is something going on, isn't it? Kuretsuchi asked in a stern tone. Ghosts of the past, Onoki said. I will explain it to you once you return. With the information you will receive, there should be something to talk about. Odogakur. As the days pile up, his master was getting worse. He was coughing blood and now they had bandaged most of his body. He kept in his room. It was almost pitiable. His once active and flexible master had been turned into something human. Something so fragile. Orochimaru was strong. He was powerful. Kabuto knew it better than anyone. He was the best of the Sanins, but now he had been reduced to a fit of coughs, a pained man who couldn't do things himself. It was a spectacular fall. But Kabuto knew. His master would rise up once more. Once he took Sasuke's body, he would be unstoppable. He would become the master that Kabuto had come to respect. For now, he could only watch the pain of his master. He couldn't do anything against it. He entered Orochimaru's room carrying the now customary tray. Orochimaru was sweating badly. A normal person couldn't tolerate the pain. But he was going through it. Your situation is getting worse, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto said. The body had given away far quicker than both had anticipated. At this point, we will have to move things ahead. There is no need to hurry, Kabuto, Orochimaru said with a shake of his head. There is something that can cure this, but it is a temporary fix. You have to leave here to get it. Kabuto raised an eyebrow. Orochimaru trusted him with all his experiments and he did conduct some research for the man at times, but this was the first he was hearing about it. Should I leave everything you'll need? Yes, Orochimaru said. Behind my throne. There are 3 scrolls. Take the smaller one. It has everything you'll need. Hi. How is Naruto-kuna training progressing so far? Ah yes, the mysterious blonde who was being trained by his former teammate. Smoothly, but there is still a lot I don't know. He is still traveling with Jiraiya-sama, so their movements and activities are always covered, Kabuto said. I said we should keep his strength as a secret from Sasuke-kun, but when you come back, we shall go out on a hunt. You're thinking of using him to try to awaken Sasuke's Mangekyo. Orochimaru nodded. He didn't want to admit it, but it was unlikely for him to unlock it. He needed Sasuke to do it for him. Naruto-kun hates Sasuke now, but they were still friends. Sasuke might be able to awaken the Mangekyo after killing him. If it doesn't work out, it will be a good workout to test his strength. Will Jiraiya-sama allow them to fight? Orochimaru grinned. You should know they are not always together. We will wait for that moment. Tanzaku Gai. The conversation was going to come at any moment. Naruto had been counting the stars, waiting for Jiraiya to finally say the words he has been meaning to say. Itachi's appearance should have given him the energy. There were a lot of things that the Sannin has been refusing to say. Perhaps he was enjoying the moment and didn't want to ruin it by saying something that would displease him. For a man who thought himself as a failure, that was one reasonable thought Naruto came up with. Well, they have been on this journey for a while and he had known it would come up. He wasn't dreading the subject. He could take it on without flinching or being all dramatic. He was normal regardless of the subject being discussed. It was perhaps something he learned from that old man. Thinking of Hiruzen, Naruto couldn't help but play a couple of memories from the past. The good days. The whole of Konoha was against him. Academy teachers didn't want to teach him. They made sure to screw things up for him. It was a miserable existence, but Naruto had lived through it. He had endured because that old man was there for him, the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki. What did Itachi say to you, Naruto? Jiraiya finally asked. His eyes never left the blonde, they were stern. He wasn't going to back down if Naruto said he didn't want to talk about it. He was done being careful. Naruto glanced at Jiraiya from the window. The air was flowing nicely. He could use some warm-up once he is done with the perverted Sannin. He had questions. About Sasuke and Uzu. It was a curious encounter. Why would a criminal be curious about my thoughts if Uzu approached me? Jiraiya's eyes narrowed sharply. It was a curious thing. But then again, Itachi's actions have always been strange. Jiraiya couldn't understand what motivated the man. He couldn't figure him out. But then again, when he walked in a room, the Uchiha jumped out through the back window. They could never meet, but he was really looking forward to that meeting. That is indeed curious, Jiraiya said in thought. What did he say when you asked? Said his time was up, Naruto said with indifference. I was interested in his answer though. The way he asked didn't exactly sound like man corrupted by power. Then again, you can never be sure about appearances when it comes to the Uchiha, the blonde finished calmly. What if he is working with Uzu? Jiraiya said. Itachi has an affiliation with the Akatsuki, but I don't know anything about it. I'm merely speculating, but it could make sense if he was asking on their behalf. Jiraiya thought there was a chance that Uzu recruited rogue shinobi to protect itself. There couldn't be powerful shinobi in the village, so they had to be thinking about hiring shinobi who can protect them. He could be wrong. There wasn't that rumor out of things that reached the Wave Country. Well, he is a powerful shinobi, but again, you still question his motive, Naruto said. Jiraiya nodded. What did he say about Sasuke? Strange, Naruto said. He asked if I was still willing to fight for him, to try to bring him back to the good side. I was given the impression that maybe he doesn't actually hate his younger brother. From what I hear, Itachi loved his younger brother. It could be that he left him alive because he just could not kill him, Jiraiya offered. But that still does leave the door open to many questions. And zero answers, Naruto added. Jiraiya grunted in response. That is true, he paused before asking. What did you say about Sasuke? Are you still willing to try to get him back to the Hidden Leaf? Why? Naruto said. That is the response I gave Itachi and I am giving it to you, sensei. Naruto said. There was still no change in emotion. His voice never faltered. He was neither cold nor hot. This lack of emotion frustrated Jiraiya. Not because he expected the blonde to throw a fit. Naruto never did that. He was reserved and controlled. But this indifferent response meant he couldn't read him, and that is what frustrated him. He was your friend, Naruto. You cannot erase the past you shared with you. Regardless of what happens, the Sasuke you shared a past with will always be there. Jiraiya said in a stern tone. Regardless of what happens, Sasuke is a former Hidden Leaf shinobi and the people there still want him back. If you are ordered to bring him back, would you say why? When a shinobi is given a scroll and told to deliver it, does he ask why and what is in the scroll? Jiraiya frowned. Although Naruto wasn't looking at the Sannin, he could tell he was frowning. Exactly, Jiraiya. I would carry out my duty. Itachi was asking for my thoughts on the matter. If it was my choice, what would I do? You didn't answer his question and you didn't answer mine. Your responses have been with questions. Jiraiya said. I gave you a reason. He was your colleague. Now, you can either choose to ignore it or accept it. I have no attachment to the Uchiha, Naruto responded. Honestly, his attachments to the people in Konoha were fragile. He never got too close because he knew it was a fleeting moment. I have not really thought of him since he departed sensei. At this point, Sasuke is irrelevant to my training and my future. Regardless of how you look at it, those words were just cold. Then again, how many years did he spend chasing after Orochimaru? Did he succeed? Of course not. I really hope I don't become irrelevant. Naruto glanced at the Sannin for a moment before shaking his head. You can be miserable at times, he said. But it is a fact, Sasuke and I were friends. It wasn't what he wanted. He played the role of a mere genin all too well. He ended up getting attached. It wasn't supposed to happen. But he got closer. It was his mistake. You really couldn't fully predict the human emotion. He wasn't sad things ended up in the way did. That was why he wasn't moping. Perhaps people thought he had been miserable after Sasuke left. Yes, he was, but not for the reasons they had in mind. What of Konoha? You've never talked about it. There isn't really nothing much to tell, or talk about. That aside, I really didn't want to focus on the leaf. I just wanted to get my head straight into training and forget about Konoha. It doesn't work like that, Naruto. Konoha is home, you have to think about it. Perhaps, but we are still going back. The village isn't under attack. I never felt like talking about it, Naruto said carelessly. What are you worried about, sensei? Are you thinking that if the Uzumaki come knocking I will drop Konoha off the bat without blinking? Jiraiya wasn't that concerned about it, but to say he didn't think about it would be an outright lie. Naruto would have every reason to depart the leaf, and honestly, Jiraiya would not blame him if he decided to leave. Konoha hadn't done him any favors. Minato would be disappointed. The leaf was supposed to be home, but it certainly hadn't treated him like it had been his home, and that was because he was the host of the Kyuubi. Uzu was still Naruto's home. His mother came from the land. If he wanted to go back, there shouldn't be complaints. But Konoha would not let him leave. They would allow it. There was a sense that the blonde belonged to them. The Kyuubi was their property. Jiraiya sighed. Don't say it like that, Naruto, he said calmly. I understand, but there are people in the Hidden Leaf who are asking questions. I'm a shinobi of Konoha. It is only natural that I be concerned. Naruto didn't offer an immediate response. A couple of moments passed before he spoke. Well, you still don't know if Uzu is an ally or an enemy. There should be concern there, he said. Everyone is worried about that, Jiraiya said with a nod. Tsunade wants us to be on the lookout for Sasuke. If I get information about his whereabouts, we will move. Any time now, Orochimaru might take over his body. Well, that is what he wants. He is willing to sell his soul to the devil, Naruto said without emotion. But Sasuke is an emotionally unstable spoiled child. I guess it can't be helped. So you won't have a problem. Naruto shook his head. Not at all. A mission is a mission, and we can't have Orochimaru becoming powerful. It would become a problem, he said. When do we move? I'm still waiting for some information, Jiraiya said. He was silent for a couple of moments before speaking. I feel that there is a storm that is coming. It is making me nervous. This world might become unstable and the peace might be threatened. Naruto wasn't all that deep into the talk of peace. Jiraiya surely loved the subject, and Naruto had indulged the Sannin on a couple of times. Well, we must be prepared for everything. In this world, you never know what is going to happen tomorrow. This is why we must always be prepared for anything. To this, Jiraiya nodded. I'm going to see one of my contacts, the Sannin said, standing up. You want to come? Naruto shook his head. I have had enough activities for the day. I wish to stay in. I will go out tomorrow to stretch some muscles. Jiraiya nodded and walked away from the room. With the Sannin gone, Naruto released a long breath he'd been holding. Silence. Peace. The solitude. Finally, Naruto was sitting on a clear field, just away from Tanzaku. He had an expressionless mask on his face, staring down at a couple of lines he'd drawn on the ground. Sometimes he liked to keep up with sealing. He didn't need any more training. Manuals. Many seal structures and what they did, they were memorized inside his head. The Sandaime Hokage had made sure his mind was a field of seals. Sometimes it made him crazy. Sometimes whenever he closed his eyes, he could only see the marks, the tattoos. They were complex and he'd obsessed trying to untangle them. At least spending hours each day just thinking about seals had driven away the demons. The laughter inside his head. The whispers from the villagers. Those eyes that glared at him with nothing more than contempt. He'd forgotten about them. Even when teachers at the academy refused to give him anything good and actively tried to sabotage his grades, Naruto had found comfort in Fuinjutsu. His legacy. His savior. Because of the role he has had to play as a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, Naruto had been forced to forget about Fuinjutsu, practicing it and using it. But he didn't want to lose his touch. Yet, having a paper and a brush would earn him questions from Jiraiya. It was a dangerous situation. He avoided dangerous by abstaining from things whenever possible. But since the man had brought up the subject, it was safe to study. Space-time ninjutsu. A rather delicate art. It was complex, yet very useful. Perhaps he would have never gotten this far without it. To be able to move from one place to another in the blink of an eye. It was a tremendous ability. His father had truly made himself famous by taking the Nadaime Hokage's jutsu into another level. People praised Minato for his genius, but Tobirama was the true genius. He created so many jutsus, some now forbidden in the Hidden Leaf. A kunai flew towards him from behind. Naruto tilted his head to the left while raising his hand. He caught the kunai through his fingers and looked at it for a moment. Without even looking, he flung it backwards before stood up. It almost never happened that he found himself a target of an attack by someone. Naruto hasn't gone around pissing off people within the elemental nations, and his actions since he saw the result of Uzu's destruction have always been subtle. He never got too involved. His hands were free. It wasn't to say they had no blood in them. He was a shinobi. That was bound to happen. Because there were few people who'd have something against him, Naruto concluded that this was Konoha's mischievous people. He wasn't too sure, so he would have to ask. He doubted they would talk, but he would still ask. There was no harm in asking, was there? Naruto looked at the four masked men with an expressionless mask. He was being disturbed from his training. He generally didn't like it because now he would have to go again in reorganizing his thoughts. One of them lunged towards him. Having spared with Jiraiya for countless times, Naruto could see the masked shinobi coming all the way. He felt bored. But he could still use this as a training session. He hasn't had one where bones could be broken. He could do this. But they would still have to pay disturbing his time. The masked man stabbed a kunai towards his face. Naruto sidestepped the strike and twisted around swiftly. He lifted his right hand and slapped the man on his shoulder, sending him off balance. "You're slow. You need to increase your speed," he stated calmly. The man responded by twisted clockwise, while lifting his right foot. Naruto watched the incoming attack. If he stood still, he would be hit on his shoulder. He jumped back, slightly, avoiding the kick. Only his left foot touched down the ground. He'd sensed more movements. A second after touching the ground, another masked man flashed just above him. He swung his sword in a downward slash that was aimed at his right shoulder. Naruto leapt into the air and twisted around. He slammed his foot on the man's shoulder, sending him flying away. He then landed gracefully. Kaden. Great fireball. The fireball was coming in from behind. It was a pathetic excuse for a fireball. Naruto had seen something bigger from Jiraiya. Hell, even Sasuke did better than this. Almost lazily, swiped his right hand and then snapped his fingers. The flames just died down in the blink of an eye. "You're all not very strong. It is quite pathetic really for shinobi who wear masks," Naruto said with a shake of his head. "Come on. Let me end this," he said, motioning for them to come. Perhaps he was being too rough of them. He has been training with Jiraiya and he wasn't exactly weak. He was strong. Even so, it was quite disturbing to learn that they could not even touch him. He should have just broken them at first glance. When they didn't attack him, Naruto took out kunais from his pouch. He held them all with just his left hand and then flung them towards the masked men while charging forward. The man he was facing dodged the kunai by tilting his head to the side. When he saw Naruto coming, he threw a right hook, but slowed down, falling backwards slowly and watched the punch with both his eyes. He held out his right hand and channeled wind chakra, forming an invisible blade. He swung it and cut through the man's elbow, separating his arm from his shoulder. There wasn't even a sound from the man when the sword struck. When the man attempted to run away, Naruto took out a kunai, channeled wind chakra through it and flung it. The kunai pierced through the man from the back of his neck and went through his throat before dropping dead. Naruto fell on his back when he saw another masked man stomping downwards. He rolled to the side just once to avoid the blow. When the man's foot crashed into the ground, Naruto's right hand moved swiftly with his wind blade still activated. The blade cut through the man's left leg, just above his knee. He stood up and another swing cut through the right shoulder and blood gushed out as the man fell down. 2 more to go. They both charged towards him. Naruto stood still and waited for what felt like eternity. They flanked both his sides, swinging their blades in horizontal slashes. The swings cut Naruto, but he turned into a cloud of smoke. Naruto flashed behind the man who'd attacked him from the left. He grabbed him by the back of his neck and pushed him towards his colleague. He shifted to the right when the other man pierced through his comrade's gut in order to get him. Naruto did the same, but his strike was marked towards the man's heart. It just pierced through and he dropped dead. Naruto twisted the man he held and lifted him up into the air. "Foundation," he uttered. "I find it convenient that after Itachi leaves, you guys appear. Is Itachi in contact with Danzo? Did he threaten your master with intel? Are they working together?" He shook his head. The man said nothing. "Can't talk," Naruto said. "I really don't have the time to torture you. Take the pieces of your colleagues and go away. Do tell Danzo that I wish he not do this again." Naruto dropped the man to the ground and walked towards where he had been sitting. He stood there for a moment before shaking his head and then settled down. What was he busy with, again? Ah. Yes, space-time ninjutsu. The jutsu he had in his position wasn't anything like what the Nadaime created. His jutsu wasn't for battle. It was purely made for traveling long distances. He still burnt a lot of chakra using it, and he needed to find a way to do it without burning as much chakra as he does when he uses it. He couldn't test anything now because ever since he became a genin of the Hidden Leaf, he deactivated all seals he was attached to. He was playing a role. To be able to work on it, he would need to activate the seals. He couldn't do that now. It was dangerous and would attract too many questions. Naruto shook his head and rubbed away all the drawings on the ground. He closed his eyes and decided to meditate. After an hour or so, his eyes snapped open as Jiraiya walked into the field in a leisurely pace. Something happened here, the Toad Sage said calmly. His eyes glanced around before looking back at Naruto. Your timing sucks, sensei, Naruto said. I was still busy. Do you also come early? It took a moment for Jiraiya to understand the meaning of Naruto's words. When he did, he grinned. I knew you were no innocent. You act like you have no interest in women, but you are not so innocent. I never claimed I was innocent, pervert-san, I just have my days. I don't know what is with you. Maybe you are trying too hard to be loved because someone refused to love you or because you really are just a pervert. Naruto shook his head. Either way, you shouldn't read too much into my actions. For me, it really has to do with convenience most of the time than desire. I'm surprised you even have desires, Jiraiya said. You generally don't show any desire in anything aside from training. Even so, you are never too excited. Naruto shrugged. Everyone has a desire, sensei. Everyone dreams of something. I have dreams, I just choose not to make them public. What are those dreams? Naruto appeared to be thinking about a response for a couple of moments, but he didn't respond to the Sanin's question. Something did happen. Masked men attacked. I think they might be from Konoha. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed sharply. Can you describe the masks? And Naruto did so. The Toad Sage frowned. They are indeed from Konoha. What do you know about the Danzo? The Sandaime's former teammate and someone who considered himself to be his rival but still could never hold a candle to the Sandaime. He warned me. If someone called Danzo approaches you, come to me immediately and don't talk to him, Naruto said. I trusted the old man, so I never asked too many questions. Danzo leads an organization called the Foundation. He has done many experiments with it and they are basically the dark horses of Konoha. Danzo says they live to protect Konoha and will do the dirty work that the Hokage cannot do. He has his own agenda, of course. But Sensei always thought he was useful and never got rid of him. When you were younger, he fought. He pushed and pushed for you to be given to him so that you could be trained as a weapon that would only live to serve Konoha. You see, Danzo teaches his forces to abandon all emotions. They are nothing but tools. The mission is important than their lives. Naruto looked into the sky for a moment before responding. This power within me does attract all kinds of vultures, doesn't it? Well, the Kyuubi is still the strongest Biju and control over its power means you have a powerful weapon, Jiraiya said. It has an unlimited supply of chakra. That was an overstatement. As long as the Kyuubi was a living thing, it could not have an unlimited supply of chakra. If it was a force of nature, then he could understand. The fact was that by human standards, a Biju's chakra supply was enormous. You didn't have any human who could rival it in terms of pure chakra. This is the reason people even hunted them in the first place, for their chakra. It was like that in this world. If you had too much power, you either joined them or you faced destruction, a corrupted world. But those with power controlled it and the weak could only complain about in their dark little corner of misery. Power. Power, that is something people desire. Some will do everything for it, kill, betray, sell their souls. Power is everything, or at least fools think, Naruto said with a shake of his head. I was being tested. Probably, Jiraiya said. Did you give them a good spanking? Naruto shook his head. No, he said. Are you going to warn the old hag? Can you stop calling her that? Naruto stared for a moment before shaking his head. When we arrive in Konoha, I will sweep her off her feet and call her princess. Will that make you happy? Jiraiya painted the thought on his head, and tried to imagine just how Tsunade would react to it. Try it, he said with a grin. You're being mischievous, Naruto said. Then, of course I have to warn her, the Sannin said. Danzo is dangerous and bad news. I will step on his neck if he is trying something. There had to be a reason the man was making a move now. It could not be that he was simply trying to examine if Naruto was learning something new or not. There was always something with the War Hawk. Jiraiya really didn't like dealing with that extremist. It was never good for anyone. I guess he is also the dark force Suna was concerned about, Naruto said in thought. You didn't say anything about that, Jiraiya said to Naruto. You never said Suna was worried about something happening in Konoha. I didn't, Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. It must have slipped my mind because it was something that occurred when I was coming back. But if Princess Tsunade is doing things, there shouldn't be anything to worry about, unless Danzo taps into the village's council, Suna's council I mean. I don't think he'd go that far, Jiraiya said. He could just plan for something to happen to Temari and then blame it or any other village. That sounds like work. Danzo is work, Jiraiya said in a firm tone. In the Third Shinobi World War, he was pushing for Konoha to pin Iwa down and maybe take over. The village was willing to talk at that point, but he didn't want it. He wanted Iwa destroyed. I wouldn't be surprised if he even tried to sabotage them, the Sannin paused. I thought you'd show some concern for Temari. Naruto eyed the Sannin very carefully for a moment before shrugging. Temari. The blonde sister of the Kazekage he'd come to know. She was truly a delightful person, and to say he got along with her wouldn't be a lie. Still, Naruto wasn't going to stress over it. Perhaps, I have to believe that the people in Konoha are not ignorant of this, and Suna seems to be aware, so it should be fine, Naruto said. Jiraiya shook his head. What did he expect? Did he expect Naruto to cry over it and think of rushing over to the blonde's side? At this time, Jiraiya even considered if Naruto was even really mad that Sasuke tried to kill him. He wondered if the blonde was just perhaps mad that he allowed himself to get close when he had grown up distrusting people. Guess what? Jiraiya said, trying to change the subject. Guess what? Naruto responded. Jiraiya frowned. Positive he wasn't going to like Naruto's game. What? He forced himself to say. I don't want to play. The Tsuchikage's granddaughter is within the town, you have to go to her and speak with her. The Toad Sage in a serious tone, ignoring Naruto. More schemes by Jiraiya. When it came to collecting information and data, the Sannin really went all out. But Naruto was certain that Jiraiya wouldn't have come to him if he could do it himself. Naruto really never bothered himself with Jiraiya's services of gathering intel. He always made sure to keep a safe distance. Why can't you speak to her? Obviously you want to find something about her and Iwagakure, Naruto said. Jiraiya nodded his head before smiling. Well, I don't want to go anywhere close to her. You know young girls sometimes don't like older and experienced men crawling up close to them, he said. Besides, it will be more interesting with you speaking to her. Ah, Minato wasn't a famous person in Iwagakure. They held a grudge for his actions in war, but that should be over now, don't you think? Jiraiya nodded. They won't have anything against you, but when you keep your hair long like that, you turning into him, the Sannin said with a slight shake of his head. The outside world never knew of Konoha's Jinchuriki, and I don't think even now they know. But there were things happening and we need to know what is happening. I doubt I will get much from just speaking to her, and you are obviously aware of this, Naruto said with a stare. Are you trying to fix me up with her? Jiraiya merely grinned. What would be the problem if I was? I don't find it amusing. Naruto said. What is she doing here? Well, you see, one of my contacts is an Iwa spy. She is here to meet him, Jiraiya said. He seemed really pleased with himself. After meeting him, she will leave the town, so you have to speak to her today. I don't want to miss an opportunity. More like you don't want me to miss an opportunity, Naruto said. Are you sure my performance is that interesting? Jiraiya nodded. I'll be watching. Don't, Naruto said. I will be uncomfortable knowing that a perverted hermit is busy giggling with his notebook while dreaming about a potential pairing and harems you'll create for me. That wouldn't be a bad idea, you know, Jiraiya said in thought. I won't watch, but I still want a detailed report. Since when have I given you a detailed report? Jiraiya frowned. You will have to stop doing that, the Sannin said sternly. We shall see, Naruto said as he stood up. When are we leaving? We have to wait for Kakashi. He is coming here with something from Tsunade. After that, we'll disappear. Jiraiya explained lightly. What were you working on? Before I came here, I first stopped by somewhere to fetch my armor. I was preparing things and I want to formalize myself with it. In our next sparring session, I will be wearing it. About 2 hours later, Kuretsuchi, the granddaughter to the Tsuchikage, a young black-haired woman who was obviously very attractive. She was obviously a very capable kunoichi, if given the way she carried herself meant anything. Then again, she was related to the current leader and was thought to be on the front seat to replace Onoki once he does retire from his position. The old man was currently the oldest Kage alive and active. The Sandaime had made him learn everything about the Kages and their power, a bit of history about them. Information was always essential before you made a move. Naruto was certain though, none of the current Kages could be compared to Hiruzen in terms of strength. In his prime, the Sandaime had no one to rival him. It did make Naruto wonder just how the old man who stack up if he was pitted against the first Hokage or the second. Shaking his head, Naruto reminded himself of where he was, in a bar. Shinobi liked this place. Not for the drinks or the pleasures, but exchange for information. It was a good place to overhear conversations, to accidentally bump into certain people. Or maybe to poison someone. Such places existed in another world, far away from the normal things that occurred in the streets. Naruto picked up his bottles and walked over to the Kuretsuchi. She was sitting alone by a corner. She was obviously looking for someone. She didn't show it, but Naruto had observed people around this place that he could tell what they wanted judging by their body language. Kuretsuchi looked up when the blonde walked up to her. She stared at him, seeing the headband on his forehead. It was bit hidden by the wild blonde hair, but it was Konoha. She frowned. She wasn't looking forward to dealing with Leaf Shinobi. Not now, not at a place like this. But this was the Fire Nation. Leaf Shinobi were everywhere, so it could not be avoided. When did she last someone a picture of such blonde hair and blue eyes? Oh yes, the Yondaime Hokage, a very famous man. Konoha worshipped the man while Iwa was a little bitter that one man had forced them into the negotiating table during the last war. She was well aware that if not for the Sandaime Hokage, the man would have done more damage than he did. At least that was what her grandfather told her. She didn't see it. She hadn't been born into the world, so the fame of the Yondaime was nothing but a story to her. You just didn't think of Konoha's yellow flash, did you? Naruto asked in a light tone, a small smile on his lips. He was still standing. Kuretsuchi blinked. I just did, she said with narrowed eyes. I bet people who have seen him will be thinking the same, Naruto said with his smile. Can I join you? No, Kuretsuchi quickly said. I won't take much of your time, Kuretsuchi. Naruto said, looking straight into her eyes. Oh, and I will tell you a little secret that not even Konoha knows if you let me sit, he said in a whisper, a sly smile in his lips. Kuretsuchi frowned. He knew her name. He came here because he knew her. Well, there was no harm in letting him sit with her. She was getting bored alone and was even thinking of leaving anyway. She still had the rest of the day and tomorrow. You can join me, she said. What is the secret? Naruto settled gracefully. He noticed, although she had a bottle before her, she wasn't drinking it. Naruto Uzumaki, a shinobi from the Hidden Leaf, he pointed at his forehead. Uzumaki? Kuretsuchi asked. She was immediately interested in listening to that person. She was surprised to see someone from that clan here. Not to mention, as a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf. There were issues with the land of Uzumaki, so seeing another one of them here was a good thing for her. Ah yes, Uzumaki, Naruto said with a smile. My mother was Uzumaki, born in Uzu, but because of the friendship with the Hidden Leaf, she moved there at a young age. Kuretsuchi nodded. Why did you decide to join me? You are a kunoichi of Iwa, and you are sitting here alone, it gives you away, Naruto said with indifference. Besides, you are a rather attractive woman. As a man, I can't ignore you. Kuretsuchi snorted. Easy pickings. Naruto laughed. Not at all, he said. Do you think I came for that? If you want easy pickings, he said, turning around and pointed at a woman was drinking heavily, you go for that. you don't approach a woman who isn't even drinking her alcohol and her defenses are as tight as a seal holding back a jinchuriki. Kuretsuchi stared for a moment. That is a funny way of describing someone's defenses, she said. But if defenses are not up, scums walk all over you. I don't have time for that. I would think so, Naruto said. Do you just perhaps enjoy the challenge? Kuretsuchi asked. You could never be too sure when it came to shinobi. Some people were just suckers for punishment. She could never understand masochist. Naruto smiled mysteriously. Who knows? That smile. Kuretsuchi couldn't read it. She couldn't read a damn thing. She couldn't even read the blonde. It made her uncomfortable. What is the secret you wanted to tell me? Naruto smiled a bit sheepishly. Well, the truth is, I really didn't have any secret. I just wanted you to let me sit with you. He said. He would admit he lied with such a smile on his lips. She shook her head. So you are Uzumaki. Any connections with Uzushiogakure? Naruto took one bottle and put it on his mouth. He took a couple of gulps before putting it the table. That hit the sweet spot, he said smiling. What were you doing alone? People come here with boyfriends, friend, to have fun. I came to drink. You are not drinking. And since this is far from home, we can rule out friends, found love with a man far away from home. Naruto glanced around the place. Now which one could be your type? I figure he has to be strong, good looking, or do you perhaps like women? What? Kuretsuchi looked baffled. Naruto laughed. I'm just messing with you, he said. I wanted to see your reaction, but I am curious, do you have someone you love? What does that have to do with anything? I said you were an attractive woman. No. Naruto grinned. Would you like to be friends with me or maybe more than that? Even a friend is better. I don't know you, but I want to know you. Isn't that wonderful? I'm sure as the Tsuchikage's granddaughter, you probably don't get a lot of friends and I'm sure boys are intimidated by you to even come close. The last one hit the spot but Kuretsuchi wasn't all that concerned with it. She didn't even spend her time thinking about such issues. There were more important issues in life. You must be thinking you don't have time for it because you have to think about your career, but I must ask, wasn't it the same for your grandfather? It is especially worse with him since he lived in the times of war. He still made time for family. He had one of your parents and your parents had you. It is only natural for you to continue with the cycle. But that alone isn't enough, it is happiness that matters the most. You should ask your grandfather why he had a family in a time of war. Kuretsuchi was silent for a couple of moments. What do you know about happiness? You seem rather happy gulping down the alcohol. Naruto smiled a small sad smile. I'm a miserable person who wants to bring happiness in his life, he said. What do you say to my offer for friendship? Shinobi want to benefit in everything. I will tell you this, I actually look a bit like Konoha's yellow flash because I'm his son. Don't tell anyone about it. It's a secret, he said in a whisper. So, what do you say? Don't you want to befriend someone like me? Given the history with Iwa and the fact that you are Uzumaki, I'd rather kill you than befriend you. All the better. Become close to me and you decide whether I should be killed or befriended. You can do that easily while close to me. Kuretsuchi thought about it before smiling. That makes sense, she said. You have deal. Naruto tilted his head aside. His stare made Kuretsuchi uncomfortable. Before she could ask, he spoke. You have a beautiful smile, he said. You asked if I have any connection with Uzu. I can't answer that, nor can I tell you if I can use my father's jutsu. We will talk when we meet again. We are going to be friends, right? Kuretsuchi frowned. That was disappointing. She had been hoping that he would start singing like a bird because he was drinking. Wait, if she let him continue drinking, wouldn't he end up getting drunk? He didn't seem like someone who was fearsome. But you could never know with Shinobi, right? There was no harm in entertaining him for a bit longer to see if he would sing. So, Kuretsuchi paused, trying to figure out what to say. I have said a couple of things about myself, you haven't, why don't you start? Or we can hit a battlefield if you think that is dull, a sparring session could be good. I hear some people understand each other better when they cross blades, Naruto said with a shrug. You don't really believe that, do you? If you close your heart, no one will get to it by fighting you unless you really want them to do so. If you, Kuretsuchi, don't want to be a friend of mine, Sparring with me will only change if you find my skills acceptable, Naruto said. But I do believe a man and a woman can understand each other better when they do foreplay. You get to know your sensitive areas, and maybe when you hit the good spot, some secrets slip out. You're pervert, aren't you? Naruto shook his head. I'm merely stating what I believe, he said. What is it going to be? Kuretsuchi would rather have him continue drinking so he gets drunk and start talking. I'll talk. Naruto nodded. But I have a rule, he said. If you lie and I spot it, you take a drink. He pushed a saucer towards her. It wouldn't be fun if I got drunk alone, now would it? Kuretsuchi frowned. She was going to get drunk. There was a reason she wasn't even drinking in the first place. But Naruto was already way ahead of her, and if she doesn't admit that she is lying, how would he tell? Of course, she had no intentions of telling the whole truth. Fine. Oh, she regretted that choice. Later, Naruto was sitting by the window, looking over at the streets of the town. Nothing was ever like Konoha. There was peace. There was freedom. Konoha had restricted his movements with its contempt for him and really made things difficult. He could have left any time he wanted. Uzu was his home, it was the home of his mother. But it was dangerous. The people in Konoha would have turned the world upside down looking for him. If they found out he was in Uzu, they'd raise hell. People like Danzo would be at the forefront of the attacks. The man would be looking for his Biju, the Kyuubi. When it came to him, the only thing the man was interested in was the Biju. It didn't matter if Uzu and Konoha were technically still allies, Danzo would try to invade Uzu. If he could not, he would entice the enemies of the whirlpools to do it for him. The War Hawk was capable of doing something like that. Being here was safer. And as long as he gained strength, it was more than enough. There was not even a need to rush things. He was growing. He needed to grow. They needed to be careful, lest they suffer another tragedy. Your ability to remain still for hours still amazes me, Jiraiya said. He was standing next to Naruto, eyes glancing between the blonde and the streets. I have been doing this since I was 5, Naruto said. When you do something repeatedly, it becomes natural for you to do it. Well, not all things, Jiraiya said with a sly smile. What did you to the Tsuchikage's granddaughter? Nothing. Were you threatened by someone? Jiraiya shook his head. No, but she was drunk. Oh yes, we were playing a little game and she was a bit too confident in her ability to lie. Then again, I'd made her a little curious by telling her some things, Naruto said with indifference. She is an excellent kunoichi. Even though intoxicated, she didn't say anything. I just helped her to her hotel. You don't sound like you got anything out of her. It wasn't my intention to get something out of her, Naruto said. I just wanted to lay the foundation for future relations. I'm sure tomorrow or when she wakes up, she will be very pleased that I was a gentleman despite there being occasions she felt compelled to ask if I was a pervert. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. Are you saying that you will see her again? Naturally, Naruto said with a nod. Who knows, we might be friends. Can you try to be a little enthusiastic about that? Jiraiya said, seeing the indifference in Naruto's body language. Kakashi will arrive tomorrow. After he leaves, we will depart. Do everything you need to do by the end of the day because we leave tomorrow. There isn't much for me to do, Naruto said. Some rest will do, he said with a yawn. I think I will sleep for the rest of the day. My mind is a little tired and I don't want to be seen by Kuretsuchi. A year later, she'll look at me and think, oh, this is the guy who I got drunk with and then walked me to my place, and laid me on my bed. A bit of an embarrassing moment, if she tries to think of what if. You're cruel, Jiraiya said. She is going to be thinking about that the moment she wakes up. You didn't leave any letter. Nothing, you just left. That brings curiosity and the desire, sensei. Naruto said in a simple tone. When you passionately kiss a woman, and then leave her with a hand on her lips, thinking, wow. She will think about that kiss when she wakes up, when she kisses another man. Speaking like a corn artist, you do that often. Naruto shrugged. You jealous that I can do that? Well, I could understand. I don't see any woman chasing after you, saying they want more. I haven't seen any woman chasing after you either. Nice touch, Naruto grunted. But you should be satisfied that we shall speak again, no. For better relations with Konoha and Iwa, that is suitable, I bet the creepy geezers in dark corners would be thinking about a political marriage. 3 months later. Jiraiya damn sensei. Naruto couldn't understand the Sannin at times. He really did like doing things at his own time and wouldn't allow anyone to interfere. He never really did like spending too much time at one place. They'd spent 2 months training together and the Sannin then suddenly said he was going and would return soon. He never returned. He left him and never returned for a whole month, and now a letter came, saying they would meet in the cloud so that Naruto could test himself against another Jinchuriki. Naruto hadn't been afraid of being alone, but he had been warned, don't use the Kyuubi's chakra while I am away, just continue learning using the fire element. Of course, Naruto hadn't listened to those demands. He had promised, but he didn't follow through with it. Jiraiya couldn't force him to do what he didn't want to do. Besides that, Naruto had seals in place in case he lost control once more. He was currently walking through the land of hot of water, coming all the way from the land of tea. It was a long journey, but Naruto's thoughts came to a halt as he sensed something. He immediately twisted around. A large snake was hissing loudly as it slithered towards him in speed. Naruto stood still, watching it with indifference. The snake didn't stop. It continued to charge towards him. As it neared him, it lunged towards him, trying to smash him with its head. Naruto merely raised right hand, with its palm open. The snake slammed into the hand, coming to a complete halt. Naruto didn't move, not even a muscle. He might look a bit slim, but he had conditioned his body. He might not be in the standards of someone like Guy, but he could hold his own in terms of physical strength. Naruto ignored the hissing snake and looked up. Orochimaru, he said, seeing the snake Sannin, standing atop of the snake with a wide grin, hands folded across his chest. Naruto should be afraid of Orochimaru. There was no question that the Sannin was a powerful shinobi, and not someone who should be taken lightly. But Naruto wasn't afraid. He was merely curious. What did the snake want with him? He was getting guests these days. First it was Itachi and now it was this snake. It couldn't be any good if someone like Orochimaru had to come himself. Their last encounter hadn't been a good one. He had nearly died after facing Kabuto. Orochimaru looked at Naruto with interest. The blonde's hair had truly grown and a bit wild. But that interested him was the way he dressed. It was a bit like Madara, but the armor didn't have shoulder plates, and the blonde wore a crimson shirt, and with gloves that matched that color. You could hardly ignore the Uzumaki symbol on his chest and around the metal plates. You have taken quite the transformation, Naruto-kun. Naruto shook his head. This has always been in design, Orochimaru, there was just never an appropriate time to wear it. As you can see, it does draw some inspiration from a rather infamous Uchiha. The blonde explained lightly. Orochimaru laughed. I didn't take you for a history fan, not to mention Uchiha. Naruto shrugged. But history is origins, Orochimaru. In some way or the other, our pasts are what shape our futures. I'm not a fan of the Uchiha, but well, Madara had something I like about him. Oh, Orochimaru was immediately interested in what Naruto had to say. What is that? Nothing really. I was merely interested in your reaction, Naruto said with indifference. I hear you love yourself some Uchiha, the Sharingan to be precise. Well, to say, love, is corrupting the word. Let us just call it a perverse obsession. Kukukukukukukukuku. Orochimaru laughed hysterically at the response from Naruto. I get the feeling that you have always been like this, Naruto-kun. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Well, that would certainly be an interesting development. He said carelessly. Yes, and it does draw me closer to trying to study more about you. I'd always dismissed you, but when we first met you seemed rather mysterious, and you never stood out, but I'm beginning to think that was by design and dismissing you might have been an oversight on my behalf. Orochimaru actively searching what he can about him. Now that was a dangerous development. Naruto didn't want that, but he couldn't tell the Sannin to stop. I'm certain I will have nightmares about this, the blonde responded calmly. What can I do for you, Orochimaru? Don't be so hasty to end the conversation. We were getting along just fine, Orochimaru said with a laugh. You proudly wear the Uzumaki crest but yet don't have a connection with Uzu. That does set the mind racing. I'm sure the people in Konoha will be on guard if they see you boldly wearing the symbol of the Uzumaki. Well, I am Uzumaki, and anyone who says I can't wear the symbol of my clan is just being ridiculous. I doubt Konoha will even have a say about it when they also wear the symbol. Once more, Orochimaru laughed. So when are you going to Uzu to be with your people? Who doesn't love their clan? If they invite me, I will surely be interested in seeing my fellow clansmen, Naruto said. I see, you brought your little pet project with you. I was praying that you'd have consumed him by now. He is still training, Orochimaru said with a grin. You don't mind being a test subject, do you? With that armor, you should be at least a good punching bag. Not to mention you have the Kyuubi with you. I want to see how my Sasuke has grown. Sasuke isn't worth me using the Kyuubi's power. He is just a little child with some mental problems. Well, you two suit each other well. You both have loose screws up in your heads. Perhaps Sasuke has been suffering from the mental effects of his brother's genjutsu, Naruto said in a cold tone. I think I am beginning to like you, Naruto. Naruto shook his head. I'm afraid I don't swing that way. Orochimaru frowned. The blonde was mentally strong, unlike Sasuke. But truly, he was proving to be an interesting subject. If he does manage to survive here, Orochimaru wouldn't mind taking him back to the hideout. Sasuke, you can come out. The Uchiha flashed behind Naruto. You have trained your dog well, Orochimaru. I didn't think that you could train it better like this. Kukukuku. Orochimaru chuckled lightly. Sasuke-kun is more than that. Oh, I am very much aware what he means to you, Orochimaru. Naruto said with indifference. Sasuke stared at Naruto with an expressionless mask. This person had made him jealous of his growth. But he was here. He had trained hard under Orochimaru. He had abandoned all emotions and focused on his training. He was confident that he could beat him even with the power of the Kyuubi. This is rather interesting, isn't it, Naruto? Sasuke started in a calm tone, eyeing the blonde. He had yet to even activate his Sharingan. I guess you can say that, Naruto said. You do mean the fact that last time we stood like this I was chasing after you and now you are the one who has run after me? Yes, Sasuke said. Naruto shrugged. Well, I have never been the one good on chasing people. Admittedly, I don't really care what you do. Even if you strip down and bend down for Orochimaru to screw you, that isn't my problem. Naruto said indifferently. Nevertheless, Konoha has ordered that you be returned before you carry Orochimaru's children. And as a shinobi of the leaf, I must follow those orders. Sasuke didn't like those words. It was insulting to think of what Naruto was saying. But in the end, he ignored those words. Let us hope that the armor isn't just for show and you can actually fight. And I hope that you actually learn something, Naruto said. He clapped his hands together for a moment before, stretching his neck muscles. Come Uchiha, show me if you can really dance. That is some tough talk from someone I beat. You've never been able to beat me and there will be no change. In terms of arrogance, yes, you will win, Naruto said. Admittedly, you had more skills than I do. Your sponsors liked you because of those skills and not to mention the Sharingan. Sasuke smirked. So you do admit that I was better than you? Yes, painfully so, Naruto said calmly. I am not the one to fail to recognize someone's skills when they are better. But of course, that was the past. Are you saying you are better than me now? Sasuke asked with narrowed eyes. He always did feel superior, but Naruto always had to undermine him. He always had to show that despite all his efforts, he could still get better. Sasuke had hated it. He had hated that someone without a bloodline could match him. Even when he was doing better, they'd always been a feeling that Naruto's wasn't really giving it his best. They'd always been a feeling that the blonde could do better than what he showed he could do. And that was always pissed him off. Naruto tilted his head to the side. Who knows? If you're still the same child who sees hatred whenever Itachi's name is mentioned, you can't defeat me. Sasuke glared. Sasuke-kun, Orochimaru called from the sides. Don't kill him. He could prove to be a very useful subject. Laughable, Naruto said, but he didn't look the least amused. The arrogance in Orochimaru to assume that Sasuke could kill him, it was mystifying. Orochimaru, this arrogance of yours is the reason you actually believed that you could destroy the hidden leaf. What a miserable person you are. You lost the use of your hands in your arrogance and had to crawl to Tsunade looking for help. Please don't incite Sasuke to do something reckless. I will gouge his eyes out, have them crystallized and then put them on display in my throne room. Kuku. Orochimaru laughed. Big words, Naruto-kun. I can see why Sensei replaced me with you, the snake grinned. Do it, Sasuke. A bit annoyed at being commanded like that, but Sasuke still dashed towards Naruto. The blonde didn't move but just watched him with sharpened eyes. Sasuke reached Naruto and unsheathed his sword. He swung it across Naruto's chest in blinding speed. Naruto took a step backwards slightly and watched as sparks flew with the blade running through his chest metal plate. He held out his right hand and summoned the sword of the Thunder God from a storage seal on a plate around his waist. Seeing the sword, Sasuke encased his own sword with lightning and swung it towards Naruto. The sword clashed with Naruto's, creating a huge spark of lightning. He attempted to push the blonde backwards but Naruto didn't budge. Not even an inch. Sasuke jumped back while flipping his sword to his sheath. The sound of birds chirping invaded his ears as he summoned lightning on his right hand. He pointed towards Naruto. Chidori Iso. A lightning spear spread through quickly towards Naruto. The blonde reacted instinctively by shifting his body to his left while positioning his sword to block the jutsu. It managed to graze through his right shoulder before Naruto pushed it away with his sword. Sasuke cancelled his jutsu and burst towards Naruto. He flipped several times as he neared and tried to slam his right foot above Naruto's head. The blonde took a step back to avoid the kick. Sasuke managed to flip once more and touch the ground with his hands, his body positioned upside down. He quickly bent his arms before going airborne. Kaden. Great Fireball no Jutsu. Sasuke breathed in before exhaling a large fireball. The flames sped towards Naruto quickly. Sasuke was left puzzled when the flames suddenly disappeared into thin air as if they had just burnt out. When Naruto flashed in front of him while he was still in midair, Sasuke activated his fully matured Sharingan and saw the incoming punch directed at his chest. He quickly flipped, twisted above the blonde. He stretched out his hands and touched Naruto's shoulders before using them to propel himself further away. He twisted around in flash and tried to kick Naruto on the back of his head. Naruto held out his right hand and gathered wind around the tip of his middle finger. He gathered enough chakra for the Uchiha to even spot the chakra build up. Wind bullet. Sasuke still couldn't react swiftly to avoid the bullet that sped through in the blink of an eye and collided with his chest. There was so much force behind it and Sasuke felt the air leave him for a moment before he was sent flying backwards. He recovered quickly by flipping once before landing down. A second later, Naruto crashed in front of him, driving his fist towards his chest. Uchiha twisted anti-clockwise while unsheathing his sword. He did not swing it but rather raised his left leg and tried slamming his right foot on Naruto's gut. The blonde caught his kick with his left hand. Sasuke smirked before swinging his sword in a slash aimed just above Naruto's shoulders. The blonde reacted by leaping backwards and then did a sudden pull on the foot he'd caught. The sudden movements made him lose his balance and sword just flashed past Naruto's face. Naruto pulled Sasuke towards him while still holding him. He slammed a brutal wind-enhanced punch on the Uchiha's chest. Sasuke felt something crack before spitting out blood. His whole upper body ached as Naruto did a quick twist before hitting him on the forehead with a powerful kick. Sasuke was sent flying backwards. He crashed into the ground and laid there for a couple of moments. He clutched his chest for a moment before getting up. He cursed as he saw Naruto jumping into the air before kicking a dark orb of flames towards him. His Sharingan could see the wind around the blonde's foot. The speed in which he kicked the ball was just ridiculous. More so the speed of the flames. Yet, Sasuke straightened his body and shifted to the right a bit. He felt intense flames burning his chest as the ball sped past him. It was only for less than a second and yet it managed to burn his shirt around his chest. Sasuke didn't get to thank his Sharingan when he felt the tremendous explosion of the flames and the heat it produced. Naruto had appeared before him, stabbing his sword towards his chest. Sasuke managed to move his body a hit to avoid it but the lightning sword pierced through his shoulder. Naruto didn't step there. He slammed a small Rasengan on Sasuke's chest, sending the Uchiha flying backwards. Shit! Sasuke mentally shouted after crashing. He was seriously hurting. At this point, Naruto was going to shatter his ribcage. He couldn't allow that to continue. His eyes widened slightly as sensed a heat wave coming towards him. Sasuke gritted his teeth before activating his level 2 cursed seal. The flames touched him and exploded into a massive cloud of flames. The Uchiha burst out of the flames with wings behind him. Seeing the Uchiha's form, Naruto shook his head. How unsightly, he said. Then again, this is how far you are willing to go for power. I don't want to hear that from a Jinchuriki. Naruto shrugged indifferently. I didn't seal the Kyuubi within me. He said. Doesn't matter. Sasuke's wings flapped before he vanished from sight. He appeared behind Naruto and kicked the blonde on his back. Naruto flipped several times before twisting around. He landed gracefully. Sasuke was right above him, a Chidori on his hand. Naruto summoned a Rasengan and slammed it towards Sasuke's jutsu. When the jutsus collided, there was an explosion of chakra and lightning. Seeing that he was being pushed back, Naruto jumped backwards to create some distance between him and the Uchiha. But Sasuke cut the distance in the blink of an eye. The Uchiha attempted to kick him straight on his face, but Naruto crossed both his hands, and the kick hit the defense. Naruto's body slid through the ground considerably after being pushed back. Chidori Senbon. Sasuke fired multiple Senbons towards Naruto in quick succession. Naruto frowned before summoning his lightning sword. His hands blurred through the air as the sword collided with the Senbons, but a couple hit him on his knees and left shoulder. While swinging his sword, Sasuke flashed below him. Chidori. The Uchiha slammed the jutsu on Naruto's gut. But the blonde suddenly burst into hundreds of sharp, almost invisible wind blades that cut through Sasuke's hand, although his elbow. Sasuke cursed, feeling that some chakra points had been damaged. Naruto appeared on the Uchiha's left side with a wind blade on his right hand. The blade extended massively. The Emperor's cutter. He swung it in a downward slash and it cut through Sasuke's wings. Sasuke cried out in pain as the stage 2 failed him. When he saw Naruto swinging his sword once more, in panic he released a jutsu. Chidori Nagashi. Naruto didn't even wince when Sasuke discharged electrical currents that hit his body. It rendered him motionless for a moment, and Sasuke used that chance to get away from Naruto. The Uchiha cursed inwardly as he breathed heavily. He wasn't going to lose this battle. He would not lose it. Stage 1 of the cursed seal was still active. He could still fight. Disappointing Sasuke. I expected better from you, Naruto said with a shake of his head. Oh, right, 3 months ago, I was with Itachi, he says. Hi. But at this point, I will be the one to kill him before you do. It will be sweet, isn't it? If I take away your precious revenge away from you. Sasuke was angry. He was mad. He forgot about the pain and lunged towards Naruto, but he was stopped from doing as a large snake appeared in the middle. We are leaving, Sasuke. Orochimaru hissed while standing atop of the snake's head. No, the Uchiha said. I need to finish things with him. It is no longer possible, Orochimaru hissed. Come on now, he almost shouted. Too late, a giant toad crashed into the scene. Jiraiya was standing atop of the toad. The legendary Jiraiya-sama has arrived. Kukukuku, Orochimaru greeted his former teammate with a laugh. While I would like to play with you, Jiraiya, we were on our way. Oh, the toad sage grinned. Do you think I am going to let you escape? You just attacked my apprentice, and I know why you were in a hurry to leave. This is a good opportunity to take both of you to Konoha. Some other time, Orochimaru said. Sasuke. He hissed, and this time, the Uchiha listened. It was a pleasure, Naruto-kun. We shall speak soon, perhaps next time. I'll be the one entertaining you, Orochimaru bowed mockingly. Explosions started to tear through the ground like a chain reaction. Massive amounts of flames and smoke covered the area for a couple of minutes. When everything cleared, Orochimaru was gone. Damn, Jiraiya cursed. Got away again. Thanks Gamabunta, we could have been late. The Toad Chief didn't respond to Jiraiya and turned towards Naruto. He had kept his eyes on him. Even when that explosion occurred, he hadn't moved. Not a muscle. He just stood there without even shielding his eyes. Yo, Naruto said to the staring Toad Chief. I'm not bleeding, am I? No, Gamabunta said. Jiraiya, the Toad said before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Jiraiya landed gracefully and checked Naruto for a moment. He wasn't completely surprised to see that Naruto looked perfectly fine despite this encounter. Sasuke had used the cursed seal, but Naruto still didn't use the Kyuubi's chakra. There wasn't even a sign that jutsus had been thrown around the area. Well, that was close. I am glad that he didn't want to fight, we'd have been screwed. Naruto looked thoughtful for a moment before shaking his head. You're a clone, he said. But I wasn't concerned about anything. Orochimaru would have taken me to one of his labs and molested me if I had lost nevertheless. Jiraiya shook his head. I'll be waiting for you in the cloud, we'll talk about this, I'm almost out of chakra. When Naruto stare, just do the obvious, book a place and I will find you. And if I hide? Jiraiya shrugged. You are going to wander through a bar one day, I'll find you, he then disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto shook his head and looked at himself for a moment. He dusted himself up and then frowned. He needed to clean himself up. But he wasn't that much of a mess. He started walking slowly towards the hidden cloud. He would need rest once he gets there. This fight wasn't something he'd wanted to do. At least he'd managed to save chakra, and had Jiraiya not showed up, he would have been forced to use his ninjutsu arsenal to try to counter the threat the Uchiha posed in that form. Admittedly, he would have been in trouble. After walking for a couple of minutes, Naruto's movements came to a halt. He glanced on his left. Itachi was sitting on a tree branch, watching him carefully. Itachi, I thought you wouldn't show up, he said. But you are a clone. Naruto started walking away again. You reached out to me and you are going to walk away. Naruto stopped walking and glanced over to the Uchiha for a moment. He realized that he didn't have his Sharingan activated. But that wasn't the reason that made him turn over to the Uchiha. Naruto walked over and leaned against the tree trunk, folded his hands across his chest and then spoke. I am listening. Itachi started in a measured tone. You have truly improved, but not surprising since you are being trained by Jiraiya. Why do you talk to me, Itachi? You are a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, was a teammate of my brother and you are Uzumaki, Itachi explained. Those things matter, more so than you are willing to admit or to show. But I am here because I am connected to all three parties in some way. How connected how are you to Uzumaki, Itachi? Uzu, but I cannot get into those details. Perhaps I will never get to them with you. Itachi responded. Let us talk about your connection with my brother and Konoha. Tell me, although you are Uzumaki, you are still a Konoha shinobi. Should things come to a point in the near future that Sasuke tries to attack Konoha, would you stop him? Do you no longer care that you are more than willing to kill him if it meant protecting Konoha? Naruto glanced up for a moment before closing his eyes. That raises questions, Itachi. Why would Sasuke even try to destroy the Hidden Leaf? He left it to gain power. Sasuke is gullible and can easily be painted any color by anyone with the means. The fact that he left Konoha to join Orochimaru is proof of this. Orochimaru tried to destroy Konoha once and failed. If he has Sasuke and regains his strength, wouldn't he try to do it again? Unlikely, but for argument's sake, let us say he does, and Sasuke is with him. Why are you talking to me specifically? Because you were the only friend Sasuke was able to make. I realize that you are not going to try to talk Sasuke into returning to the leaf. You didn't say a word about it when fighting him. Naruto shook his head. Just because I didn't talk to him about it doesn't mean that if I'd broken both his legs and clipped his wings, I wouldn't have dragged him to the leaf. Despite my views about him, if the mission is to stop Sasuke by any means, I will do it. I see, Itachi said, silent for a couple of moments before speaking again. I am speaking to you because I want to understand you and your motives. You want to get stronger, but for what? You haven't shown any desire for anything, but I know you are not completely without any desire. You have hopes, you want something, but I don't know what it is. And that makes you nervous of the Uzumaki's revival? Naruto asked. But what is my connection to this? Yes, I do have dreams, but I am not the one to share them a public knowledge. Still, that doesn't answer the core question to your interest in my dreams and the potential connection to the Uzumaki. I am a rogue shinobi of Konoha and wanted, but I don't want to consider you an enemy. However, I must know, where is your home, Naruto? Uzumaki is more than just clan politics, but it is home. It is the place where your mother was born. Is your home Konoha or Uzu? Itachi asked. You have always proudly worn the symbol of your clan and even now, you wear it. You are proud of being Uzumaki, which begs the question, why are you not in Uzu? Whether we are enemies or not depends on my response to your question, Itachi. And although I do not wish to make an enemy out of you, I don't want to share anything with you. You are not my friend and your motives are unknown to me. You seem to concern yourself with where my loyalties lie, but how does that affect you in any way? Itachi was silent for a moment. He really hoped that he wasn't wrong. Naruto was more than someone who was ranked a genin by Konoha. Itachi was almost certain of this, but there was no evidence, and Naruto wasn't going to admit it. Despite everything that has happened, I was a former shinobi of the Hidden Leaf and I do care for what happens in it. This is why I ask if you'd be willing to stop Sasuke and if you are loyal to Konoha. Sounds like Konoha's Dark Knight, Naruto said with a shake of his head. As long as I am a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf, I will fight for it. I have already said this to you. And when you are not? Who knows? We are not at that time yet. Naruto said calmly. My life is simple. I have a simple way of doing things. I don't care about a lot of things. I'm not bound by hatred. But I am not a truly happy person. I do desire happiness. Who doesn't? What of what Konoha has done to you? Your life in Konoha has been nothing short of misery. I can understand why you'd be miserable. There has not really been any reason to be happy when Konoha hasn't made it possible for you. I was wronged, but no one will admit that. Should I just forget it, Itachi? Should I say that yes, those people made him miserable, they treated me with nothing but contempt. I was mocked for being an orphan, yet the very reason I became an orphan was that they could live. What would you feel? The Sandaime used to say that I should work hard to prove to them that I am not the Kyuubi but a hero. It was laughable. My parents sacrificed their lives, they sacrificed me, I am okay with that. But to treat me with contempt, for the wrong reasons, to blame me to the deaths of your loved ones when you really did nothing but just an innocent child, that, I cannot accept. They told their kids not to play with me, they isolated me. I was a danger, for 11 years straight and I must work to show that I am good. I have nothing to prove. And I will not accept people who loathed my existence for years and to suddenly shift and smile while ignoring the things they did to me. To be forgiven, you must ask for it. You must work for it. There must be a balance. They were wrong, they must accept that. I was not wrong. I did not kill anyone. But I was used as a tool to stop the destruction, the killing, and yet, the hatred. Naruto said in an icy cold tone. Those are thoughts, Itachi, am I wrong? Naruto's tone was cold, it made Itachi uncomfortable, but he could not sense a bit of hatred, but there was anger, yet it wasn't in Naruto's tone. He was unnerved by it. How do you say such words without expressing anger and hatred? One who becomes a cage is one that is recognized by the people. The people are Konoha. Perhaps I would have told you the same thing the Sandaime told you, to work hard to prove to Konoha that you are truly a hero, because if you really love Konoha, you would do that. People are emotional, they will always overreact. There will be bad apples, and maybe sometimes it is the majority, but we cannot let that define what Konoha is. You sound like someone who does love their village and that is okay. I have nothing against that, you have to love someone, but my question isn't about the love for Konoha. Before we get to that, we must talk about what is right and wrong. If we simply brush aside that, we become fundamentally flawed. Naruto said, there is the truth, right and wrong. I do not love blindingly. If something is corrupt and you love it, you will try to correct, but there will be limits. If Sasuke cannot be saved and attacks Konoha, he must be killed. That is what you are saying. But why must he be killed? If Konoha's cage suddenly decides to invade another village for the simple reason of expansion, do you support it, or do you do the right thing and kill the cage? Those are my thoughts, Itachi. You decide what you think. Naruto said in a firm tone. In the meantime, you have your issues to deal with. When I am in Tanzaku, we shall speak again. How were you even able to keep tabs on me? Naruto merely smiled. You have your secrets, I have mine. Perhaps in our next conversation, we shall share. Otogakur. It didn't often happen that Orochimaru would end up being disappointed having assured himself of success, but truly when things did go left, it really did sting. The last time his sensei had truly done him a number. Taking away his hands had been a rather sinister move. He had cursed his sensei, but he couldn't be mad forever. This time around, it had been Naruto. But the blonde hadn't been in the way. In fact, Orochimaru was happy things turned out the way they are. It wasn't what he had gone expecting, but he was fine with it. He had something else to look at now, and it was certainly something very interesting. Naruto had not only managed to hold his own against Sasuke, but he had managed to deal some damage that forced the Uchiha to utilize the cursed seal. It had been unexpected, but nothing to be too shocked about. He was going to be grounded once more. He had avoided fighting Jiraiya because it wouldn't have been healthy for him. Orochimaru glanced at the brooding Uchiha for a moment before laughing. It was a bit gleeful. Both he and Sasuke had been confident that the latter would win against Naruto, but it hadn't been going according to plan. Sasuke did not lose. The battle hadn't ended yet. Maybe Sasuke would have won. Maybe he would have lost. They couldn't be certain about anything. But to Sasuke, it felt like loss. Orochimaru wasn't that concerned by the Uchiha's wounded pride. There were more important matters to deal with. Are you that afraid of Jiraiya? You can ask him, Sasuke-kun, but Jiraiya knows out of the 3 Sanins, I have always been the strongest. None of us have surpassed our sensei, but I was strongest, Orochimaru said. Admittedly, the condition of my body doesn't allow me to match him. I'm afraid fighting him would result in more severe consequences for me. Sasuke snorted. I came to you for power, Orochimaru, but you have not given me what I want if I could still struggle against Naruto. If I can't defeat him, I can't defeat Itachi. I can only push you so far, Sasuke-kun, Orochimaru responded calmly. There are some things that you cannot be taught. You need to look at where you have failed. Power I have given you. You depended on my cursed seal to defeat Naruto the last time, and this time around, you still used it. He was using the power of the Kyuubi last time. Yes, frightening power, but Naruto has no bloodline, and still this time around, he didn't use the chakra of the Kyuubi, Orochimaru pointed out, a little amused by Sasuke's glares. At this point, he was going to end up taking Sasuke's body even when he wasn't ripe. You are the one who has failed. If you cannot improve me, there will be no reason for me to stay with you, Orochimaru. After saying that, Sasuke stomped away from Orochimaru. Kabuto looked at the retreating Uchiha for a moment before turning to his master. He looks like he has taken quite the knock. Orochimaru shrugged carelessly. Sasuke has grown strong, but he fails to control his emotions when Itachi is mentioned. Unable to control himself, he doesn't act rationally. Naruto didn't do anything impressive. The Sannin looked thoughtful for a moment. But admittedly, he is truly better than expected. It could have gone either way. Well, Kabuto could understand why Sasuke would be displeased. Naruto's growth was the reason Sasuke had felt like he needed to get away to gain more power. Sasuke was strong, Kabuto could admit that much. But this was going to turn things back a bit. Are you going to have another try? Not at the moment, Orochimaru said. He was grinning. You should have seen the way he handled himself. Even when I was there, he didn't blink. He just stared into my eyes and asked me what I wanted. He has a way with words. Should we increase our efforts on him? Orochimaru nodded. You need to work quickly. I don't know how this body will hold on. If we don't take Sasuke, I will have to find a new host. It is becoming troublesome since he is talking about leaving. Orochimaru couldn't allow that to happen. If Sasuke left, he might never be able to get him back. To stop him from leaving, Orochimaru would be willing to take over even when the time wasn't right. There hadn't been this threat before, so it was never a consideration. I will get on it. And the other thing, it has been wiped clean of everything. There was dust, so I assume they did it some time ago, Kabuto responded calmly. Well, it is safe to assume that there are possibly people who saw Uzu's destruction and who know about its secret hideouts and possessions, Orochimaru said. Even though the Mask Temple was in the outskirts of Konoha, it wasn't something that everyone knew. Considering the things that were in there, it did make sense to keep its location hidden, Kabuto said. How has Naruto been able to improve drastically in such a short time? There are 2 possibilities. It is either he has always been good but chose not to show it, or he has one big appetite for learning new things. He proudly wears the symbols of his clan, and yet even though it has revived, doesn't claim to have any desire to reunite with his clansmen. Isn't that strange? Are you suggesting that Naruto has a connection with Uzu? Yes, Orochimaru said with a nod. We just have to discover what that connection is. Kumogakur. The hidden cloud. A power-hungry nation it once was. Perhaps it was still power-hungry. Had it not been for the Sandame's methods and the Hyuga's sacrifice, maybe Konoha and the Leaf would have gone to war over something the village was truly guilty of doing. Ridiculous. In this world, right no longer mattered. Power was everything. The strong did as they pleased and the weak suffered. Maybe Kumogakure felt confident it could boss Konoha because it had two Jinchurikis who were known for being the best in the shinobi world. Kumo's Jinchuriki knew how to control the power of their bijus and they stood out because of this. The beast inside of him had resisted plots and attacks from the hidden cloud. When none wanted to come near because the Kyuubi was too powerful, Kumo was more than willing to send its shinobi on suicide missions. Power. Bijus. Right. In this world. The cloud was rather lovely, and perhaps Jiraiya would be having the joys of his life. Kumo and Konoha didn't have the best of relationships because of the past. Then again, none of the great nations were truly friends, there was always some bitter history between the nations. Wars haven't done any favors to the relationships of these villages. Naruto didn't dwell much on the scenery within the village, he walked around for a bit. He was mindful that he was being watched. Perhaps he had been watched too often that he could spot a pair of eyes staring at him even from across the seas. But he didn't mind it. He had metal plates around his body and looked like he'd been in battle. It was understandable for them to be curious. He found himself a good place to rent and rested for about 2 hours. It had been afternoon when he arrived in the land. Once up, Naruto went to the window and settled nicely for about 2 more hours while staring blankly into the streets. His little birdie friend appeared before him. Naruto let it rest on his hand before smiling. "You've come a long way from home," he said, walking over to the small table he'd requested. The bird nodded and flapped its wings a bit. It looked tired. Was it dangerous? Naruto asked, taking out the scroll it had. 5 mountains of paperwork appeared in a puff of smoke. For a moment, Naruto stared at it before shaking his head. He looked at the bird and waited for its response. The bird nodded and showed him the inside of its right wing. It had a wound. People do try to attack the messenger birds. Naruto put his finger on its head, as if to pat it. "Ask for a vacation when you get back home. I'm sure they'll grant you," he said with a smile before turning his attention to the paperwork. He glanced at the bird for a moment before speaking once more. "You don't need to keep watch, you can go on to rest, I'll wake you up once I'm done." The bird nodded its head and gave him a look that clearly said, "Thank you, master." Naruto just smiled and went to work. Darkness had already descended on the village by the time Naruto was done. It was time for scums to wake from their slumber. The night was full of many things. Many evil. But Naruto liked taking a stroll through the night. It had been safe in Konoha to do so. The hateful glares were not there. There was nothing but a silent breeze that kissed his body with relaxance. With his armor off, Naruto was wearing dark clothes. They suited the night. He strolled around for a couple of minutes before finding his place. A bar. Entrance was never an issue with shinobi. This was a shinobi place. There were Kumo headbands everywhere. Naruto felt like he was the only foreign person in the place. It didn't bother him. He just danced around the tables and sat by the counter on a stool. It was fully loaded. His usual place was occupied. A pity. For a moment he wondered if he should go tell those people that they were sitting on his spot, but he realized it would make a scene. And he was far away from home. He didn't need to get kicked out. Since he was sitting by the bar, Naruto ordered 1 bottle but told the barman to keep them coming. He had paid already. There was no opening of a tab. He wasn't at Konoha. For about an hour, Naruto drank alone. He was at peace. The noise around him was non-existent. He was lost in his thoughts but he never missed his drink. He continued drinking absent-mindedly. When his thoughts deserted him, Naruto started to look around. He saw 2 women sitting by themselves. They were not civilians. He could see their headbands. Kumo Kunoichi. Well, he could indulge himself just this once. When was the last time he felt compelled to approach people and dine in the pleasures of the body? Naruto ordered 2 more bottles and walked over to the women. He smiled charmingly. While he continued to say he would not win any beauty contests, Naruto knew he had a certain look about him. He would not compare himself to anyone. "Ladies, can I join you?" Naruto was already sitting even though he was asking. "You are a bit far away from home, and considering your drinking, You are not going to make it home soon. Naruto took a sip before responding. That is the intention. Well, unless you ladies decide to leave the table a bit early. The night is still young. The following day, coming from somewhere, Jiraiya asked as Naruto walked into his room. Naruto frowned seeing the grin on Jiraiya's lips. He was willing to bet that Sannin was thinking that he should have been there to watch. A sick perverted old geezer. He was going to die peeping one day. You don't exactly come from nowhere, now do you, sensei? You know what I mean. Jiraiya said. Naruto shrugged. I know what I mean, but I don't like discussing my nights with you. I'd rather not permit my conquests to become part of your stories. You are no fun, Jiraiya said. He then grinned again. So, who was she? Was she young or old? I can't tell if you like older women or young ladies your age. Girls my age are still napping and, Naruto responded calmly as he walked over to the window. The morning is always rather unpleasant no matter how much you have. How much did you drink? A lot, Naruto said. I approached 2 women who got drunk before I could. To even the score, I had to drink more. But some shinobi from Kumo blocked my path and to avoid a battle, I had to back down. Went by a corner, drank some more before being approached by someone who seems to like young men. I knew it, Jiraiya exclaimed. You do like older women. Some of them, but that there was no helping the situation there was rather difficult. And I really didn't want to come back here alone, Naruto said. You would prefer being in bed with a stranger than someone you know, Jiraiya said with a shake of his head. That is some way of doing things. Naruto wanted to remind the Sannin that he got into bed with people who he didn't love because the one person he has loved his whole life didn't love him in the same way he loved her. But he figured it would be a low blow. Jiraiya was okay. There was no reason to make him miserable, especially when he was here trying. Naruto wasn't that cold-hearted to ignore the man's efforts. How long have you been here? A day or two, Jiraiya said with a shrug. How was fighting Sasuke? Naruto said with a shrug. Nothing fancy. He is easy to mess with, so not that much of a problem. I would have been in trouble had you not come in around that time. The power of the cursed is something else. Not to mention Sasuke already has the Sharingan. I am fortunate his eyes are not like his brother's. I wouldn't have willingly fought him if there was a choice. Are you afraid of facing the Sharingan? Naruto shook his head. No, it just makes me mad. The ability to see the future, the ability to copy jutsus, and the ability to cast genjutsu upon you with just a look. If I fought against the Sharingan with the intention to kill, I wouldn't kill that person. I'd just gouge out their eyes and leave them blind. Sometimes I think you'll be capable of cruel actions, the Sannin said with a shake of his head. Well, there was no helping the situation. I will have to make a report to Tsunade that you encountered him. If I had been there, we could have captured both. If I had used the Kyuubi's power, I could have captured both. Although he didn't want to show it, Orochimaru was weak. He wasn't the same person who appeared in the Chunin exams. Then I had been amazed by his power. Then, he looked like a normal person. But I would have still released 6 tails and brutalized him, Naruto explained lightly. Being confident is good, but being overconfident will get you killed, Naruto. You're talking about the same situation in which you sent a clone to intervene, pervert sensei, Naruto said with a stern look to the Sannin. Why did you send a clone anyway? I was held up with the Raikage and I wasn't sure, Jiraiya said. I'm still glad you did well though. Did you have any doubt? Naruto asked the Sannin. You have been sparring with me, do you still doubt my strength? You can never be sure, Jiraiya said. I didn't think he'd take this chance though. He was must-have waiting for the right moment. We will have to be careful from now on. We can't have moments like this happening again. We might not be fortunate next time. Naruto said nothing, but he could agree with the Sannin on that point. How was your talk with the Raikage? A bit unpleasant but nothing to worry about, Jiraiya said before taking out a file. This is the Jinchuriki you are going to meet. I won't introduce her to you. Well, she might not like me since I may have done something without knowing. Anyway, she is around the village and you can see her anytime you want. Keep it light, and she isn't a bad person. You should be able to get along with her. I refuse to take comfort in anything you say to me about women, Jiraiya sensei, Naruto said. I'll see her tomorrow. We are not in a hurry, anyway. Kumo hasn't been all that bad. I could stay for than 2 weeks. We can't stay for too long, Jiraiya said in a serious tone. We have some leads we must follow. We are almost done with training, so it will be best if you start following me around when I gather intel. We'll have to start thinking about going back to Konoha. How long? A month or two, Jiraiya said. Tsunade insists. I had asked her to give us a year. She sent a message, and she wants us to return. I managed to convince her that I needed you to learn a couple of things about my spy network so that you can be in a position to take over when I am not able. You have fine hopes, Sensei, Naruto said. But he would disappoint. Uzushiogakure. The Emperor's compound. A traditionally built place at the heart of the village. It wasn't that big, but it was majestically built, worthy of someone who calls himself the Emperor. Gurren had been to the throne room a couple of times, but the throne was always empty. It was always cold. Each time she went there, she thought she'd finally meet the person who sits on the throne, but she'd not seen him, not once, not ever. Too many people have not seen him. She'd never come across anyone who says they have seen him in the streets. The village had a leader who led the village, but it wasn't the emperor. The compound was usually quiet. People didn't go there. The old geezers went there at times to have their meetings. It was a place of secrets. The Uzumaki were secretive. It was almost an obsession, perhaps filled with some paranoia. But Gurren didn't criticize it. These people would do anything to protect the village. It was a fortress because of their methods. And anyone who found a loophole to enter the village never returned home, unless there was a message that had to be sent. The village itself was vibrant. The Uzumakis were not many, but they were the most energetic people you could find. The atmosphere was fine. Yukimaru enjoyed his time at the academy and she did her job as one of the higher-ups in the command chain. She had no complaints. Orochimaru couldn't hurt her from here. He couldn't touch Yukimaru. She was safe and that was what mattered to her. She had fun chasing after spies during night. Perhaps the sadistic nature in her would not completely go away despite being asked to control her urges. They didn't complain, so she kept at it. Gurren-san, Haku greeted the woman who was standing by the entrance to the emperor's compound. It was dark in the streets. And she shouldn't be standing here. Are you nervous? Gurren didn't nod. She glanced at the ice user she'd mistaken for a woman. A complicated past with this one, but she'd never bothered to pry. They spoke well. Both had been recruited, but when she came here, Haku was the one who welcomed her. He didn't act as the leader, but he was high up in the chain of command. Why would she be nervous? Yes, after being here so long, she'd been summoned to meet the emperor. Finally, she was going to meet the mysterious leader. The Uzumakis she'd met spoke well about him. A master of fuinjutsu, they said. A truly brilliant man. Maybe, Gurren said. I didn't think even you would be nervous. I mean, you did work with Orochimaru, Gurren said. I'm curious here, and when you get used to something, it hardly becomes a problem. You only realize its cruelty when it turns to you, but when facing things you do not care for, you don't see it, you actually enjoy the show. Haku shook his head. He could never understand this woman. She was strange and nothing like the Uzumakis. Then again, she'd been hired to do a job that demanded that you do dark things. A job he could never do, but perhaps he might fight himself in the battlefield somewhere in the years to come. There is no need to worry, he's not a bad person. Haku said with a smile. Best we not keep him waiting. He said, walking over to the entrance. There was no one guarding, but both he and Gurren knew there was a barrier around this place. The moment they stepped into the compound's ground, their presence had already been known. Uzu was just a giant barrier that could be turned on at any moment. It had a particular ability and it would certainly offer a nasty surprise to enemies, but it was reserved for cases of an invasion. How many times have you been here? Gurren asked. I hardly see you around the village. You're mostly on the other side of the island. Well, I actually live here, Haku said with a smile. Gurren was surprised. She didn't know that, and she ran the village's covert affairs. Then again, whatever happened in the compound was always secret. It was after all the most secret place within the village. You're not always around when I come around. With spies always trying to sneak in, there is no rest. Sometimes you have to chase some across the sea. Gurren said with a shake of her head. It was a busy job, but she had to do it. People are curious, Haku said. I'm surprised I haven't even seen my former master's number 2 sneaking into the village to try to get intel, Gurren said. Then again, with how good he is, tracking him would be difficult. As she said those words, they entered the throne room. It was dimly lit, but the walls were in the form of a pale blue crystallized ice. The floor was the same. You could see a massive Uzumaki symbol on the floor, deep within the ice. The same could be said when you looked into the ceiling. There were pillars around the throne. Today, there was a person on the throne. Cold eyes were staring at them without blinking. His head was tilted to the side, resting on the palm of his right hand. She couldn't see him clearly, but there was no presence from him. She couldn't even tell if he had chakra. If she wasn't seeing the silhouette, she would have said there was no person there. When Haku kneeled, a bit away from the throne, Gurren followed his example. Your Majesty, it is good to see you again, Haku said in a calm tone. Gurren noticed the slight nod of his head. Those eyes were staring at her. Gurren, we finally meet. I wish this was a social call so we can dine together. But there are agent matters that you two must attend to. Both of you were chosen because of your unique bloodlines, and we'd like to recreate that. That isn't why you're here, but your bloodline is the reason you are being sent to this mission. We worked hard to develop the Wave country after taking over Gato's company. It has now developed. Its economy is healthy and its population has been increasing drastically over the past 2 years. Its new strength has made the land of water uncomfortable, and it seeks to undermine us. The Wave is mine, but its importance lies in the fact that Uzu doesn't directly procure its needs from any village or merchant, but we get everything we need through the Wave. If the Wave is hurt, we are hurt. The feudal lord of the water country is behind the move to slow down the Wave's progress, but you won't see him. You are going to meet the Godime Mizukage to discuss the issue and try to seek a way forward. At the moment, we don't need trouble, but if we are threatened, we will take action. You are to leave tomorrow. All necessary arrangements have been made. The mission aside, the voice was powerful, yet it sounded young. It wasn't what Gurren was expecting. We will depart tomorrow morning and try to return as quickly as possible, Haku said. Study the Mizukage for me. I'd like to see what kind of a person she is, the Emperor said. Gurren, you will try to assess Kiri's capabilities without getting caught. Hi. Gurren felt compelled to give that response. You may leave. And those words, and the two stood up to leave. As they arrived at the exit, Gurren glanced back. She saw 2 redheads leaning into the Emperor, both whispering something. His eyes. They were staring back at her. She immediately turned away. Once out, she breathed and then spoke. That wasn't much of a meet with the Emperor, she said. Haku merely smiled. You'll do that when you dine with him. Perhaps when we come back. He is a delightful person, he said. Somehow I doubt that, Gurren said with a shake of her head. I can understand us being sent for our powers, but why isn't the leader going with us to be the one to handle the issue? We could simply go as his guards. That is simple. They want to keep the mystery going. Nobody actually knows if the Uzumaki have indeed revived. Sending us there doesn't confirm it. Gurren nodded and looked back at the compound. The throne room shouldn't fit in that place, should it? It was much bigger when you were in the inside than when you looked at it from the outside. She glanced at Haku. Why is there a difference in size? Haku got what Gurren was asking. Because the throne room you entered is in its own dimension, not in this space. You can enter the dimension because of the seal you were branded with. People who don't have the mark will see the normal throne room. Kumogakure. That damned pervert in the form of a Sanin. He wasn't going to watch him battle Yugito, and he wasn't even helping out. Naruto had to do everything on his own. Jiraiya wasn't doing this to measure his strength. The Sanin probably didn't want to see it, as he already knew what he could do. He was using this as training for him. The man wanted him to use a sparring session with Kumo's Jinchuriki to help him experience what it is like to fight another Jinchuriki. He couldn't count Gaara. The cage was unique. That aside, they'd been genins when they fought. Well, he was still a genin. Naruto shook his head, rubbing off those thoughts. The secluded training ground he found Yugito in was a bit away from the village. Then again, she was Jinchuriki who fought using her Biju's power. She had to be away to avoid the collateral damage and to cause panic around the village. Yugito wasn't alone. She was with another blonde-haired woman with a large bust. What was with blondes and sizable chests? You were just staring, weren't you? Naruto looked at the woman whose cold tone made him raise an eyebrow. Yes, Naruto responded with indifference. I was thinking, if my sensei saw you, he'd emigrate to this village and abandon his beloved slug princess. Naruto said, walking over to the two women. None of them seemed cautious of his footsteps. He stood in front of them and smiled. Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Yugito stared for a moment before speaking. The armor. Are you here for a battle? Naruto completely ignored Yugito and faced the other blonde. I know her, but I do not know you. If she is willing to indulge me, I might not get the chance afterwards. Samui, she said. She had seemed to get where he was getting at. A pleasure, Samui. Cool, she said. Naruto merely smiled before turning to Yugito. Sorry about that, he said. I traveled to this village to test myself against an experienced Jinchuriki. I have been told that you're fully able to control the power of your Biju. Although I house the Kyuubi, I still cannot control most of its power. Even so, I'd still like for you to indulge me. Yugito eyed him for a long moment. The Kyuubi was the most powerful, even more powerful than the Biju beheld. She was confident, but if he was saying he cannot control most of his Biju's power, it meant that there was the chance that even B would defeat him. Then again, power alone wasn't everything. Personally, Yugito didn't think anyone could defeat B while using his Biju's power. I haven't tested myself against another Jinchuriki aside from B, I don't see why not. Naruto smiled. Then let us entertain ourselves to our heart's content, the blonde said before jumping backwards. There are no rules, no. Naruto nodded. Please come at me with the intention to kill. I find it more satisfying to battle someone who wants to kill me. You need not take it easy on me, I house the Kyuubi, if you break my legs, it's fine. Yugito grinned, hearing those words. Are you not going to regret those words? Will you make me regret them? Naruto asked. If you make me regret them, I'll treat you to a meal every day while I'm still around in the village. I don't want to brag, but I am quite the cook. You are offering to cook for me? Yugito asked. If you don't regret those words, what do I have to do? Take me out, tonight. Deal, Yugito said. Naruto took out his lightning sword and sped towards Yugito. The blonde didn't wait for him to arrive, she also charged, holding a kunai which was encased with blue flames. Naruto swung his sword towards Yugito's left shoulder in a horizontal slash. The blonde aligned her kunai over the shoulder and blocked the swing. The flames burst lightly upon contact with Naruto's sword. Yugito lifted her right foot, aiming for his shoulder. Naruto jumped back slightly to avoid the kick. Yugito twisted quickly while shifting the kunai she held towards her left hand. When Naruto touched down the ground, she was already upon him, stabbing the kunai towards his throat. He lifted up his sword, blocking her strike. She felt her kunai tremble slightly as Naruto's blade slid through the kunai, cutting it. Rasengan. Naruto formed a orb of chakra on his left palm and tried to smash it towards Yugito, but she managed to speed away from the path of the jutsu. The Rasengan slammed onto the ground, and exploded. The explosion tore through the ground, creating a small crater. When Naruto tried straightening up, Yugito flashed in front of him. Her fight foot cleaved through the air in tremendous speed. Naruto could only cross both his hands across his face while holding his sword to avoid the kicking slamming into his face. When the kick connected with his defense, it sent him flying backwards. Naruto recovered quickly by flipping several times before landing on both his feet. Yugito dropped into all fours as she formed claws. She then lunged towards Naruto in blistering speed. Naruto didn't wait for her to reach him. He summoned his sword once more and began to dart towards the woman. He held his sword in a reverse grip and slashed towards the blonde. Reacting swiftly, Yugito slid through the ground, while ducking under the sword. Yugito stretched out her right hand, her claws swiped through Naruto's right foot as she slid down the ground before quickly getting up. She retracted her claws and went through hand seals. Flame explosion. She spat a small ball of flames that sped towards Naruto at close range. Naruto didn't try to use his jutsu upon seeing the flames. He did hand seals while flashing around to face the incoming jutsu. Futon. Great wind breakthrough. He released powerful gusts of winds in a flash. The gusts covered a wider area and were bigger than Yugito's flames. But when the jutsus collided, the flames went off, setting off a huge explosion that disrupted the gusts, causing a violent reaction of flames and wind fighting it out. Naruto was forced to jump away to create some distance from the explosion to avoid getting caught in it. Once he touched down the ground, Yugito flashed in front of him in blinding speed. He couldn't react quickly as she swiped her claws across his chest. There were sparks when the claws ran through the armor plate. Yugito swung her left with claws racing towards his face. He leaned back slightly as watched the claws pass by his face. Wind bullet. Naruto didn't spit the bullet from his mouth. He channeled chakra into the tip of his index finger, forming a small orb of wind. He flicked it, and it slammed into Yugito's chest. When it collided with her, it caused her to slide back slightly but not enough to cause massive damage. Naruto lunged. His left foot graced the ground while his right foot charged towards Yugito with wind gathering around it. The kick slammed into Yugito's chest, causing her to wince painfully. She rocketed backwards like a bullet. She ended up crashing down the ground a distance away and tried to get up. She clutched her chest painfully and coughed up some blood. Yugito wiped the blood on lips and glanced towards Naruto, who was slowly walking towards her. What the hell was that? Wind. It just knocks the air out of you. That was dangerous. It was like being hit by one of the Raikage's lightning punches. A normal person would have suffered more damage than she did. She could still continue, but she wasn't about to receive any more of those hits. Nezumi Ketama. Yugito created a ball of blue flames. The ball shot towards Naruto, who halted his movements seeing it. When the ball split into multiple projectiles, charging towards him, he leapt into the air and then rushed through hand seals. Futon. Decapitating wind. He released hundreds of twisting blades that covered a wide area. The blades charged towards the rushing flames and cut through them. Naruto cursed when the flames only multiplied. He should have just shredded them. Seeing flames rushing towards him, Naruto flashed towards the ground. When he landed, he cursed once more when the flames still pursued him. They arrived in a heap and exploded upon contact. The explosion was huge. Blue flames surrounded Naruto's entire body for about a minute before dying down. When it ended, Naruto was standing in the middle of a small crater, hands folded across his face, with slight burns all over the parts where his skin was exposed. Yugito flashed in front of him, with a huge blue cat claw. She had transformed her right hand. She slammed into Naruto, sending him flying backwards like a bullet. She didn't let up. She flashed above him and created a punch before slamming him into the ground. Boom. He crashed into the ground in the blink of an eye. Naruto closed his eyes in pain when his back crashed deep into the ground. His eyes snapped open when Yugito continued with her charge. She was crashing down towards him, her punch first. Naruto folded his hands together and summoned the Kyuubi's chakra to help him a bit defensively. There was a loud crash when Yugito's large hand slammed into Naruto's defense. The collision caused the ground to shatter around Naruto, burying him further into the ground, but his defense still held on, and he avoided damage. Yugito jumped away from Naruto, and landed a distance away. Her hand returned to normal as she watched Naruto get up. Naruto held out his right hand and formed a small orb of intense crimson flames. He allowed the flames to float in the air before doing a quick jump into the air. He kicked the flames, sending them towards Yugito in blistering speed. Yugito jumped up while stretching out her legs. She allowed she ball of flames of pass in between her legs but cursed when she felt intense heat burning through her. The ball exploded behind her, and a second later, another ball of flames was rushing straight towards her. She was certain it was going to hit her on her chest and would leave her in an unhealthy state. She summoned Matabi's chakra, covering herself in dark blue chakra before the flames collided with her chest. They exploded in a blistering explosion that surrounded her in a large cloud of flames. Yugito burst out of the flames moments later and rushed towards Naruto in blinding speed. She flashed just above the blonde and attempted drove her huge claw towards the blonde. Seeing Yugito coming towards him like that, Naruto summoned 4 tails of chakra, turning into a miniature fox. He folded his crimson hands just above his forehead as Yugito's punch reached him. The powerful claw slammed into his defense in a loud boom that caused the ground to shatter below him. Naruto's tails moved from behind and twisted towards Yugito in blinding speed. Two of them pierced through her shoulders. Yugito gritted her teeth before opening her mouth wide while still above Naruto. A ball of flames formed before she shot it towards the blonde at point-blank range. Boom. The flames exploded, creating a huge shroud around Naruto before Yugito flashed away from him to avoid being caught in the explosion. When the flames died down, Naruto was standing there in all fours, in a sizable crater. He then suddenly faced up into the air and started forming a small Bijudama. Seeing this, Yugito cancelled her form and raised both her hands. Wow wow, she shouted. That is a bit too far. She said. Naruto had already started and his jutsu was almost complete. He couldn't just stop it like that, not when he had already started. It would a waste of chakra and effort. He ate the small orb of condensed chakra. The ground below him shattered under the massive weight of the jutsu. Naruto then spat it, before releasing it into the air. Afterwards, Naruto cancelled his form and stared into the heavens as the jutsu exploded. He smiled. Well, that is dangerous, he muttered. We should stop here, Yugito said. I can see that we'll end up causing unwanted attention. She said lightly. I just felt that power. I'm afraid I don't know what kind of damage you might cause, or we might cause. I'd rather not have shinobi coming to this side. Naruto thought about it for a moment before sighing. I guess that will do, he said. Collateral damage can't be avoided at times, but I know what a biju's power can do. Yugito smiled. You're really skilled. It became obvious that without transforming I couldn't do anything, she said. I have had time to train, Naruto said looking up into the sky. What about our bet? I couldn't make you eat your eats, let us just call it even, Yugito said. But still willing to dine with you, only if Samui joins us. Cool, Naruto said with a smile.